steel glint in his hungry eyes. Little king of the parking lot, dragging home another prize. Tactical tail, twitching fast. He's got clips on every branch. If it flips, if it locks, if it lasts, he's the rodent of the EDC clan. He's the EDC Squirrel, stashing the bark. Blade in the daylight, blade in the dark. From the curb to the cul-de-sac, rod sharpen your wits end.
Protect your nuts!
Protect your nuts!
Protect your nuts!
Tiny terror in the tree line cuts. He'll drop from a power line, show you what's riding his hip. Thumb stud flipper, front flick spine. He lives for that perfect click. Spreading word to the backyard crew. Check this edge, feel that grind. Every acorn, every review, card with a steel tooth mine.
Whoa.
He's the EDC Squirrel, stashing the bark. Blade in the daylight, blade in the dark. From the curb to the cul-de-sac, rod sharpen your wits end.
Protect your nuts!
Protect your nuts!
Protect your nuts!
Tiny terror in the tree line cuts. Climb high, tree line thrown in the storm. Cold bite, metal heart staying warm. If you mess with a scribe or his heart, you'll hear one battle cry roar.
From the brush! Protect your... Protect your... Protect your nuts! Protect your nuts!
He's the EDC Squirrel, stashing the bark. Blade in the daylight, blade in the dark. From the mail call crate to the gutter front rod, sharpen your wits end.
Protect your nuts!
Protect your nuts.
Protect your nuts!
Little legend with the pocket cut guts.
Hey, it's the EDC Squirrel. How's everybody doing today? Hope everybody's having a good one. It's Saturday, the 27th of June, and it's another Saturday Night Chat. The EDC Squirrel. Hey, Marco, Terry, chicken fried steak. Glad you guys could make it. Sorry for the late start. Been trying to work through some technical difficulties ever since I got a new phone. I use my phone as the camera for this, and ever since I got my new phone, it's been like nothing but a slew of issues. I know my video has not been the most stable, but hopefully I can get things working somewhat soon. It's kind of hit or miss. I think I get it working and then it stops working, and then I think I get it working and it stops working. Hopefully I can figure out what the heck is going on. You'd think a new phone would work better, but I guess not. Hey, Mr. Stock Investor, how you doing? So, like I said, it is June 27th, time for a new Saturday Night Chat with the EDC Squirrel. Got quite a few new things from this last week. Unfortunately, one of my boxes, actually would have had more, but one of my boxes or one of my packages is late. So that'll be saved until next week. But that gives me something extra to do next week as well. So I guess I can't be too upset about that. But I did get a few new knives, primarily traditional knives this week. I did get a modern knife this week, and also something that's not exactly knife related, but EDC related. So give me 1 second, having a sip of coffee. Gotta get, yeah, I woke up late, so gotta get the coffee started. Lady Arwen, how you doing? Oh, and there goes the camera. I was waiting when that was gonna happen. It's like it resets, but hopefully it won't be too big of a problem. So first things first, let me actually got to move another case out of my way. I was still trying to prep everything, trying to get the camera to work normally. We will pose the question. This is how we're gonna start them off from now on. What were you carrying in your pockets today? And to show you what I was carrying, where did I freaking put it away? I had put it away, not realizing that I was going to have it for the video. What I was carrying today, I had my Ontario Rat 1.5 in Magna Cut. That was in my pocket today. And also in my pocket today, I was actually carrying what I torched just a couple weeks ago. My Case Barlow. This is the smooth. Oh, no, not smooth. Okay, hold on. Camera's being dumb again. Let's do this again. They changed. Guess who you are? I don't know. I have the memory of. I have the memory of a donut. It's got a big hole in it. Either way, glad you could make it. This was my Case Barlow green gator jig that I toasted myself. And I thought it came out fantastic. I thought it came out so good. In fact, we're going to be doing another one actually today, except I'm going to be doing a different pattern. I'm not going to be doing another Barlow. I was actually going to do two today. Like I said, one of the packages that I received was a little late. So it is what it is. Gives me another one. Oh, Tammy! Glad you can make it. So I'll have another one to toast this upcoming this next Saturday, not today, but next Saturday. So this is what it was in my pocket today. This was I rotate what I got so many knives. I rotate what I carry almost daily. The Ontario Rat 1.5, amazing knife for under $100 with Magna Cut steel. I love this knife. This knife is freaking awesome. And also the Case Barlow. I just think it looks fantastic ever since I toasted it. I'll show you what that would have looked like originally, because I don't actually have another one of these. Normally I buy two of them if I'm going to burn one and keep the other one as is. But I've got another knife like that, just different pattern. I'll leave that one off to the side. So let's see here. So let me know in the chat what you were carrying today, what your EDC was, and we'll move on while that's going on to the new knives that I got this last week. Now, normally I start out with traditional knives, but since I've got a whole bunch of traditional knives, I'm going to start out with a modern knife that I got this week. This one actually came from Monthly Knife Club, and I actually did a separate video on this, just put it out yesterday, a couple days later than I planned to. This one is the QSP Ferret. That's the details on the Ferret. That's what they include every time you get a knife from Monthly Knife Club. Monthly Knife Club is a subscription box, and I belong to their Tier 2 name brand knife subscription, which gives me a single knife that's valued at between $68 to $79. I pay about $55 plus shipping and handling, and that equates to maybe a few bucks less usually than the total value of the knife. Now, what we got this week was from QSP. As you can see here, the QSP Knives Ferret. QSP has had some really fantastic knives. You get a couple stickers. I love their stickers, by the way. Have a Knife Day, the QSP Penguin, and you get a little information card. Now, I did do a video on this, like I said, Friday, so if you want to check that out, it's already up. But I'm showing this because this was new for this week. This one was done in a copper G10. So you have copper layers in G10 scales. We have a blackened blade, drop point, dual thumb studs for deployment. This is a liner lock, as you can see there. And just a really nice knife. I mean, other than the copper G10 scales, there's not much to, I guess you could say, no real bells and whistles. Camera, work with me here. I'm going to beat you with a stick. Hello. There we go. I don't know why it does that. I've been fiddling with settings like all morning. Last week it was doing like kind of weird, and then for the last like couple hours it was like perfectly fine. I don't know why it does it, but it does it. And I think it has something to do with my connection to the PC. I don't know what the difference is, other than it's funky. Let me try something else. There we go. Let me see if this works. I didn't think of that. Chicken fried steak, Spyderco PM3, and a Victorinox SMKW LE Tinker. Which LE? Wait, were you the one that talked me into getting something last week? Chicken fried. Not that you had to really talk me into getting it, but I'm going to blame you anyway if you were the one that talked me into getting a new Victorinox. Weren't you the one that did that? Now that you mentioned the Victorinox SMKW. The PM3, awesome choice. I like that. I've got a PM3 myself. Love that knife. As far as the QSP ferret's concerned, not too much to talk about other than it being just a really, really good knife. If I recall correctly, it was around the $69 price range for Nitro V steel. Dual thumb studs, like I said, liner lock, reversible pocket clip. I think the extra cost, because I think normally these are around like $50-something, but the extra cost is in that copper G10 scales on this one. Otherwise, just a really solid choice for a folder pocket knife, QSP. Not one of the biggest names out there, but I've seen more and more people carrying these knives. These are freaking amazing knives. Some of the quickest knives and smoothest knives that I have in my collection. I've got quite a few QSPs in my collection already, and they're just absolutely fantastic. Nice and sharp out of the box. If I remember correctly, their steel also tested really well. So you can't really go wrong with QSP if you want a solid folding pocket knife, and absolutely beautiful looks on this one as well with that I keep messing up that word, copper, because I have a few that are similar but are kind of different name, like copper carbon fiber, which is what my tongue wants to say. Copper G10 scales. Another close-up look at the scales there. Just really, really pretty. But that was the modern knife that I got this last week. Your only pocket knife left is a little or lock utility folder EDC. It sucks. You know what? Better that you've got one, though, than not. Maybe check out some of my videos. You might find something that you like, and or if you're looking for suggestions, I'd be more than happy to help you out in finding something that might fit your needs. And I just do this for fun. I'm not sponsored by anybody. Nobody's sponsoring me, or I'm not getting really any. Well, if you buy something from one of the links down in the description, yes, I do get a little bit from like Amazon, but it's not a lot. In fact, I don't think I've gotten anything from Amazon the last few months. But I'd be happy to help you figure out a knife that you might like and would suit your needs for whatever you might want to do. Now, that was the QSP. We're going to leave that out there. Normally, most of my collection has consisted of modern knives such as this. A modern knife, be like a modern folder, liner lock, thumb studs, usually modern metals or relatively recently created metals, synthetic scales like G10, FRN, titanium, things like that. That's what most of my knives consist of. However, since starting the channel, I've been collecting a lot of traditional knives. A lot of people call these traditional knives like grandpa knives that their grandpa would carry with them back in the day. And this is an example of a traditional knife. This happens to be a Barlow, which is the name of the pattern. A Barlow consists of having a large metal bolster or some type of bolster like this nickel silver bolster, They can be made of many materials. In this case, this is bone that's dyed green, and then I torched myself. Barlows normally come with 2 blades. Sometimes they might come with a single blade. But this is generally what a Barlow looks like. That's referred to as a pattern. There are very many. There's a whole lot of different patterns you can get in traditional knives. I don't normally collect Barlows, but I just thought this was a neat knife. I'll be going over a few patterns now because, again, this was the only modern knife I got, and everything else I got was traditional. Let's see here. Let's start with, now this is the typical type of traditional knife that I'd like to collect, or at least one of them. Yours has a thumb stud too. I'd like to get a better one for sure. Yeah. All you need to do, let me know your price range and what you like to do with it, and I'd be happy to help you out. Yeah. You were the one, chicken fried steak. Or we're gonna get to, hold on before I show the traditional, because this is, I guess you can kind of say these are sort of modern. I have no idea. I don't know where to classify these knives because I don't normally collect these knives. I've gotten a few, and thanks to Chicken Fried Steak, I got another one. And I forgot to mention, this one also came this last week. I got the limited edition donut, SMKW donut Victorinox. This one is, I believe this is a Tinker SMKW. It's an exclusive through SMKW, which is Smoky Mountain Knife Works. They worked with Victorinox to come out with a bunch of different patterns and styles. This happens to be the donut that Chicken Fried Steak sort of talked me into. I've got 2 PB&Js, which are peanut butter and jellies. And this is actually only my 3rd Victorinox. Like I said, normally I don't collect these, but I thought they were kind of neat, and since I didn't have many in my collection, I thought I'd grab one. And next thing you know, 1 turned to 3. I have another one like this, just a little smaller, otherwise same pattern. This peanut butter and jelly. And Victorinox are Swiss Army knives. They are. I don't know if they're considered like the original Swiss Army knife. There was another company that made these also, and they ended up, I think Victorinox ended up purchasing them, and they made essentially the same stuff. The one had the original Swiss Army knife as their tagline, and then the other one had something similar. I believe Victorinox had the tagline, the original Swiss Army knife. I can't remember what the other one had, or it could be vice versa. But this is called the Tinker, which consists of, let's see here, we have your main blade here. So you got your main blade, we got a secondary blade as well, a little smaller, as soon as I can figure out where it's at. Little pen blade. You also got a can opener, screwdriver, bottle opener. You have a Phillips head screwdriver. There's a can opener, bottle opener, and a smaller flathead. You have a Phillips back here. You have a punch, reamer, something. Some of them have multiple uses. A keychain loop, and you have your toothpick as well as a set of tweezers. There's the tweezers there, and then the toothpick on the other side. Now, SMKW likes to do these limited edition patterns or colors. This just happens to be the donut. We got a bunch of donuts on one side, and you got one large donut on the other with the SMKW branding. And I just thought they were really neat. Chicken Fried Steak kind of talked me into that. Hey, Lady Cyan, how you doing? Kind of talked me into that one. You live near Smoky Mountain Knife Works? Really? See, that would be a problem for me. I spent enough money as it is when you think about some of these. If I lived near Smoky Mountain Knife Works, I'd be done. I would live in their dumpster, essentially, a dumpster full of knives. Nice. Yeah, I wish I was near. No, actually, no. I'm glad I'm not near SMKW because I would be completely broke. I'd be totally broke the entire time. So we got the QSP Ferret this week. I got the Victorinox donut. Thankfully, these Victorinox Tinkers aren't terribly expensive. I think I paid like 25 plus shipping and handling for this one, so roughly about $30. I actually got another Victorinox coming my way, and I need to stop. Anyway, so that's another one. Okay, now on to the traditional knives that I got this week. This one is new for this year. Now the pattern isn't new, but the color is new. This one is from Case. Most of my traditionals happen to be Case. I do have a lot of different traditionals, but I get a lot of Case. This one is called the Mahogany. They have the longest names. Pocket worn mahogany bone corncob jig mini trapper, fluted. So this is a mini trapper. Now this is typical of the pattern that I normally like to collect. This just happens to be a slightly smaller version. A regular size trapper would be like this here. This happens to be I believe this is a chestnut bone. So you can see the size difference. A regular size trapper and then the mini trapper below it. As you can see there. So this is a mini trapper. This is a mahogany pocket worn with corncob jig. Corncob jig or jigging is the texture that they put in this bone. This scale here, this little insert, these are natural bone that are dyed to look like mahogany and then jigged with a corncob jigging pattern, making it look sort of like you kind of rolled a corn cob over it. So that's where that gets that name. And pocket worn generally means that they're polished or smoothed out even a little bit more than normal to make to give them like a pocket worn look, like they've been slipped in and out of a pocket quite a lot over a lot of time. Donuts for the win, definitely. So this is a mini trapper. I think the mahogany is new for this year. You have an arrowhead badge. The mahogany bone looks absolutely beautiful. If we can focus in on that. I think the coloring on these mahogany bones are outstanding. I've got another one that should be coming to me in the next few weeks. Fluted bolsters. Now these metal portions on the end, those are called bolsters, kind of like bolstering the ends. Fluted means you've got this line kind of cut into the bolster. It's just a little design addition they call fluting. Sometimes you'll see slanted, where a slanted bolster doesn't go straight up and down. They come in at a slant. So there's different variations on bolsters. Plain bolsters, which have none of that. Once you start adding fluting or slanted bolsters, usually that'll increase in price a little bit. Trappers traditionally come in a 2-blade configuration where you have a California clip point like this, and this one happens to be, these are limited, pocket worn 30th anniversary. So these are actually etched on the blade. They do have versions without the fluting and that aren't etched, I believe, that aren't limited. Now, these aren't serialized, but these, when I say these are limited, they're basically just being made for a limited amount of time. So you have a California clip point as your main blade, and then you have a spay blade for your secondary. And like I said, these are new for this year. The mahogany bone is new for this year. I just like the minis quite a bit because they're they're like a perfect size for pocket carry. They fit in a leather slip really well, and I carry these a lot, actually quite often, as well as your regular sized trappers. But that's a new one that I got this week, and I got quite a few traditionals this week. I might have gone a little hog wild. I completed my purchasing of my racing sim wheel, and so therefore I can throw my money back out on knives again. It also has the pin needle hole under the Phillips, but for some reason they do not supply. It has a pin needle hole under the Phillips. Really? I have well, really under the there is a hole. So there would normally be a pin there. They don't supply. Okay, I did not realize they had a pin there, or they would have a pin. Okay, my camera. You can see the pinhole right above my thumb. I didn't even know that was a thing. Where's my peanut butter and jelly? Does that have that too? Probably does. I mean, they're both Tinkerers, so I would assume this one has it as well. I did not know that. I have to see where I can get a pin for that. That's kind of neat. Again, I don't normally collect these, so this was... I'm new to the whole Swiss Army knife thing. But good to know. So we got that one there. Let me put the box away for that. And we're gonna go I'm going through these relatively quick because I've got another knife to burn today. We're gonna be customizing another knife. Now I do have another mini trapper. This one happens to be a Tequila Sunrise mini trapper. And did I say I was gonna burn this one? Because I know there was a few that I was going to burn. I thought I had... I can't remember if I have one of these already or not. Usually I'll buy 2 of them. And I might have bought 2 of these. I might have bought 2 of these, but I can't remember. I'll have to look. This is a Tequila Sunrise. The Tequila Sunrise color is new for this year as well. It's a nice orange with some... This one has a decent amount of milk on it. Milk is where the dye doesn't quite take to the bone, and so it's a little lighter, a little whiter, and they call that milk. Some people like it. I happen to really like it. Some people don't. Again, this is a 2-bladed mini trapper, same size as the mahogany bone. This has a slight variation to it, though. This one, you have your California clip point like the other one. However, the secondary blade on this is a Warncliffe blade as opposed to the Spey blade, which I really think is pretty neat. I like Warncliffe blades for general utility work. They're just a really nice profile for, pretty much anything you need to do, from piercing to package cutting, things like that. So this has that Warncliffe blade as a secondary as opposed to the Spey blade. Now, I can't remember if I already have those or that one, because I completely forgot that this was in this week. And it's possible I might have ordered 2, because I did toast a Tequila Sunrise previously that I thought went pretty well. I called it an autumn bone just because it had like the colors of autumn in it. If I have another one of those, we might do that. I'm gonna have to check. I have my case collection around here somewhere. Oh god, that's in a shoebox because I have no other way to... Oh my god, it's heavy. This box is gonna fall apart. Let me take a quick look to see if I've already got this one, because I can't remember what kind of box did that come in. It came in a black box. So if I already have that one, I might have 2 to burn today. Who knows? I have a Tequila X, but I don't see another Tequila. Nope, maybe I didn't get another one. Huh, okay. Thought I had another one. I haven't been updating my spreadsheet. I'm horrible. I should be updating that spreadsheet. So I have a hard time remembering what I do and don't have anymore. There's got to be a better way to do it than other than like typing stuff in a spreadsheet, because oh my god, that gets tedious, especially with considering like how many knives I might end up within just 1 week alone. Okay, so I don't think I have a second one of those. No big deal. Okay, putting collection back down. I'm gonna need a bigger box. You like the donuts? I like the donuts. You have a couple mini trappers, dig the pattern, like the war. Yeah, I do like the Warncliffe variations. They're just really neat. It's just something different. And like I said, the mini trapper is just a really nice size. Now, I've got 3 more traditionals. Good grief. Let's go with this one next. This one is entirely new for this year. You guys have seen me open some of these before. This is their case axe handle. This one happens to be what is this? What's the name on this one? Navy Blue Bone Rogers Jig Case Axe Handle. Good God, their naming conventions are... At least they're descriptive. I mean, if they just called it the Navy Blue, or I don't know, the Rogers axe, I don't think I'd ever be able to differentiate between some of these. So at least their names are descriptive. They're just long as hell. So Navy Blue Bone Rogers Jig. Again, that's the type of jigging. They give it a different name. Rogers Jig for the texturing. Case axe handle. The axe handles are new for this year, and they look similar to the Barlow's, except they have a more elongated shape, and their handle is, well, shaped like an axe handle. You got the red oval badge here, and my camera decided to freeze. There we go. Single blade. This one is a California clip point. You got a nice half stop, which I really, really like. And this has become one of my favorite patterns to collect. I can't remember how many axe handles I have now. I'll have to start counting. But this one was a new color that I did not have, the Navy Blue Bone. And I mean, just like pretty much any other axe handle, you got brass liners, nickel silver bolster, just a really nice full feeling handle. And I love the fact that they have a half stop, makes it a little safer on the close. So it's got a place to stop. And just became one of my favorite ones to collect. And I've been snapping those things up. They are still hard to get a hold of. Usually when I see them in shop somewhere, and all my traditionals this week have come from Chasing Blades. Chasing Blades is a knife seller on Whatnot. It's where I do most of my knife purchasing. If you're familiar with Whatnot, it's an auction site. Chasing Blades is just one of the many knife sellers on there. I just do a lot of business with them. And these axe handle knives are just so hard to get a hold of because people are snapping these up left and right, and a lot of times for a much higher price than what their retail cost is. I believe it'll probably start slowing down a little bit as the months go by because these aren't exactly limited. Some colors might be limited, but the pattern itself isn't exactly a limited pattern. So I'm hoping in the next few months some of the harder to come by ones will be easier to get. But all of them have been pretty hard to get because all of them very rarely stay in a show, in a single show without being bought. And just really, really like these axe handles. So again, been snapping those up as often as I can find them. Now we got 2 more traditional knives that I got this week. This one was kind of a gift to myself for Father's Day. And partially because it's a color that I like. It's a new pattern again for this year, for 2026. Well, it's a vault pattern. I think they re-released. And this one is the Father's Day or the Dad Cheetah Cub. Let me put the paper away and we'll take a closer look at that. This one, I believe, is limited as well, I think. Although not exactly hard to come across. I don't know exactly how limited they are. This is what's called a Cheetah Cub. You've got a Dad Shield in Tequila Sunrise Orange with barnboard jigging. Barnboard jigging is, again, the texture on the bone that they cut into it. So we got barnboard jigging, tequila sunrise, the dad shield, and this is a cheetah cub. What makes cheetah cubs really interesting is they have a crossbar that moves along with the blade, and it is a locking blade. So you have a single clip point blade, and you can see, if I do this without cutting my fingers, this portion here is the crossbar lying flat. When you open up the knife, the crossbar folds or unfolds along with the blade, and it is a locking blade. So in order to close the knife, you have to press down at this midpoint that unlocks the blade, and you can fold it closed. Excuse me. Cheetah cubs, just a really interesting pattern. They call it the cheetah cub because it's a smaller variation of the cheetah. Cheetah basically just being a much larger version of this type of knife. And also this has the cheetah cub etched on the blade itself. You can see there. But just a really, really neat knife. Now, I've got a few cheetah cubs. It's not something that I'm particularly collecting, but I do have a couple examples. I just wanted a couple examples to put in my collection. And being Father's Day, this one was just kind of a no-brainer to nab. But just a really cool example of a cheetah cub. Also done in Tequila Sunrise. Now, the last knife that I got in today, or this week, this is the one we're going to be toasting today. This one is a bright green bone gator jig mini trapper. Now, this is the second one that I've had. I have another one in my collection box, but I wanted to get a second one to toast because I really liked how the Barlow went. And I wanted to do that with another trapper, which is what this is, a mini trapper. And I was going to do that with a green gator jig axe handle, but the axe handle is the one that came in, or that's coming in late. So I won't get that until next week. But we do have this one to toast today, and we're going to toast this today. You guys get to see how I do that, and if you have any questions on how it's done, you'll learn how to do it yourself. Tequila Sunrise. Oh, the color. Brain went to something else. Yeah, the color of this is called Tequila Sunrise. The Tequila Sunrise or at least the color is new for this year. I'll do it that way since those are both the same color. This is the bright green gator jig. Again, the gator jigging is that texture on the bone. And I'm going to try to get it similar to how this looks. So I really like how this came out. The reason why I'm really liking this is because it looks very similar to an exclusive that Shepherd Hills makes called the Lizard Skin, except the texture or the jigging on the Lizard Skin is much different. And also I saw somebody toast another knife that had gator jigging on it that was another like a very large trapper. And I thought it looked absolutely beautiful, so I wanted to give it a shot myself and see if I couldn't do it. So that's why we got this one today, is we're going to do a toast on this baby here and see how that comes out. Not toasting anything. You're accident efficient. not toasting marshmallows even. Well, that can't be good. So we're going to be doing that today. And I've got only one more thing that came in this week before we go on with the toasting that I'm going to show you. That's not a knife, but because I call myself the EDC Squirrel and it is EDC related, I figured I'd show you guys. I partially recorded a video, and then something went wonky and I lost like half the video. So I'm going to have to reshoot this one. But I figured I'd show you guys today since this came in this week. And this is an Olight O-Pen 3. Now, normally most of my videos consist of pocket knives because I collect pocket knives. I carry pocket knives all the time. One of the things that I always carry in my pocket is a pen as well. So I thought I would include that as a nice, again, it's the EDC Squirrel channel, everything EDC. I just happen to focus on knives, but this should be in there as well, since I carry one with me every day. Normally, I carry a smaller version called the Open 2, I think it's called, as soon as I can figure out where I put it. This is what I normally carry in my pocket all the time. This is a Olight Open Mini 2. It is a basic pen. It's got a bolt action for the pen. Come on, camera. Work with me here. It's got a bolt action for the pen, as you can see there. And these can be refilled. And then this one also has a pencil at the top. So you got a replaceable pencil, graphite tip pencil. I think they come with like an extra 2 pieces for the pencil. I don't recall if they came with extra ink or not. Relatively inexpensive. These I've seen go on average for around like $12. But just a really handy, neat little pen. Very, very tiny, as you can see here, but makes it easy to carry. Doesn't take up much space, and it's very light. But I saw this one, and my girlfriend gave it to me for Father's Day. And this is the Olight Open 3. Now, like its smaller brother, this one has a bolt action pen, which is refillable. Let's see there. No pencil though on this one, but it's a full-sized pen. Aluminum. I believe the Open 3 was also aluminum, but aluminum casing. And the interesting part about this one is it also includes a couple flashlight features, which is, it is made by Olight. Now, the Open 2 doesn't have any flashlight features to it. This one, however, is a rechargeable flashlight. First thing, let me go ahead and turn some lights off, because this way you guys can see it a little easier. And then I'll turn off another light. You ordered one of these? Oh, the smaller pen? They're just really nice. I have like 3 of them, 3 or 4 of them. They're just really nice pens. And so I thought I'd give this one a shot. First of all, like I said, we have the retractable bolt action pen. And we have, if you're, for whatever reason, writing in the dark, let me turn off my table light and you can see what I'm talking about. There we go. If for whatever reason you're writing in the dark, you'll have a small pen tip light so you can see what you're writing. I don't have any paper around me, do I? How do I not have any paper? Hang on a second. Where's my paper? There we go. So you can see this a little better. But you have a pen tip light so you can write in the dark. I think it seems a lot brighter on camera, and it washes it out more. It's not as bright to the naked eye, so it's a lot easier to see what I'm writing, where I know on the camera it seems very washed out. So keep in mind it looks much more brighter and washed out on cam, but does make it very easy to write in the dark. So we have that. Turn that off. Retract the pen. And we also have a couple other features. Now, this is the feature that I liked the most. Well, we'll save that for last. We'll save that one for last. Another feature this one does have is that it has a green laser. Yes, we're looking for paper. This does have a green laser, and it's a dual power laser. So this, I think, is the low setting. And then you have a higher setting. And that comes out from the top. So careful if you're using this. You don't want to laser your eye hole. So if you're doing presentations, It's just a really neat addition. I don't use lasers all too often, but I just think they're pretty darn cool. And again, dual powered laser coming from the back here. And then this is a feature that I really liked. So normally when I'm at work, or if I've got a shirt that allows it, I'll carry my pen in my shirt pocket. And I don't have an example shirt pocket to show you. I do, however, have what I call my I can't remember what I call it. My display hot pants. And I usually show these when I'm looking at how a pocket knife fits in the pocket of your jeans and such. So I have this cutoff that I use for demonstration. But normally when I carry a pen, it's in my shirt pocket. All right. And it's a nice clip, by the way. It's a spring clip. So it's like a two-piece. You can see there's a little spring involved there. So that's pretty neat. Slips in and out of a pocket real easily. Now, the cool thing, like I said, is I'll have this in my shirt pocket. If I need a hands-free light, there is a light, an LED light, right at the end of this clip. So if I were to set that and then turn that on, there we go. Now, it has a few settings for that flashlight. Now, initially, this is the lowest setting, which is the moonlight setting, I believe. And that could last for, I forgot how long. I don't believe it says on the box. I think it's in the instructions. The lowest setting is just enough light to help you see things in the dark if it's pitch black. What did my camera? There we go. Just enough light, also lasts the longest, but you have a few different settings to this, so you can adjust the brightness to a full-fledged, like 120 lumen floodlight. So we got a slightly brighter setting, another setting, and I think this is the highest setting. There we go. At an even higher setting that really lights up a dark room. Now, the brightest setting probably at best will last you maybe just under half an hour. But some of those lower settings, like the moonlight setting, could last you upwards of almost a day of just continuous light, which I thought was really, really cool. And again, it's hands-free because if you have it in your shirt pocket, you just keep it on your shirt pocket and you can walk around in the dark while keeping your hands free, doing whatever else you need to be doing. And another feature, this actually has yet another feature on it. If you're lost in the woods, I don't know, car accident or something, and you head off the road, you have a red light feature. Okay. And when it comes to red lights, the interesting thing about red lights, it has to do with, especially at night, how your eyes adjust to the brightness and the darkness. I hope I'm explaining this right. Hold on a second. It's basically, how do I explain this? Hello, camera. This doesn't help. God dang it. Again, I don't know what the issue is. Okay, stop. Just work for me here. Maybe it's because I have the light off. I have no idea. But basically, it's for preserving night vision. Okay, so it's less disruptive to your eye when adapting to darkness, unless the camera's just not working. Camera! Phone! I spent a lot of money on a brand new phone. It causes me more issues. What the hell? I don't know what it's doing. No, it says no network yet. It's connected. I have no idea. Anyway, so it has to do with preserving your night vision. It allows you to see in low light conditions without compromising your ability to see in the dark after the light is turned off. So there's a lot less adjustment that you're. Maybe it's because I have the red light on that this thing is doing something goofy. When the red light's turned off, it doesn't like shock your vision so much as opposed to when you have a white light going on. Yeah, the camera is aspiring to be a strobe light. I don't know if it's because I'm using the red light. It might be. Again, I don't know what's going on with my phone. But that has that feature. And also, I believe we got a brighter red. And then we have an SOS. So it'll flash the red light in an SOS. Oh, God dang it. My camera turned off again. Stop it. Trying to show the SOS thing and you're being a dickhead. Let me turn this light. Maybe it's because it's trying to detect something. It's low light. It's being dumb. There we go. I'll just turn my light back on. It seemed to be functioning better when I had the light on. Okay, so we have the red light. And then we have the SOS flash. There we go. So that's working now. Yeah, I think my head is, maybe it's because it's switching. Because I know the new camera has like a bunch of different lenses, or my new phone has a bunch of different lenses on it. I have a feeling it might have to do with that. I have no idea. But I'm just guessing. So we have the SOS. And I just thought all those included in one pen was absolutely fantastic. Because normally when I'm out and about, I usually carry, I have like 3 knives on me. I have a modern knife on me. I'll have a traditional knife on me. There's a knife on my keychain. And then I'll have a pen, usually in a shirt pocket. And then I'll also be carrying a flashlight, something like this. This is my Arc Pro Ultra. I'll have a flashlight also on me. And on top of that, I carry. So I have my firearm on me. I have my magazines on me, things like that. So I've got a lot sitting on my belt. I'm surprised I'm not walking around with my friggin' pants around my ankles. So that's quite a lot to carry. And the Arc Pro, while this is an awesome EDC flashlight, this is an amazing flashlight, by the way. I did a video on this a bit ago. Awesome friggin' flashlight. The fact that I can have a pen that acts as a flashlight as well, and that eliminates me carrying 2 things. I can put it all into one. Now I have a flashlight, I have a laser pointer, I have a pen, all in one, and that cuts down at least on the weight of this thing. Now I do love this flashlight. And by no means does the pen completely replace. God dang it, phone! I'll beat you with a stick. Now, the pen doesn't in any way completely replace the flashlight. Completely replace the flash. Phone! Why are you a dick today? You were working perfectly fine a moment ago. Stop it. But anyway, I'm a nerdy Batman. Yes, I have so much on my utility belt. But the fact that I can consolidate at least, oh my God, I had an old phone that's working better than this brand new phone, and this brand new phone is supposed to be miles faster and better than my old phone. I had a Samsung 22 Ultra previously that worked flawlessly. I'm now using a Samsung 26 Ultra, which is like their top of the line Samsung right now. And you're being a dick. Stop it. Just stop. I don't know why this. I don't know. You'd think I'd have less issues with a brand new, top of the line phone. You think I'd have less issues than a phone that I've had that's several generations older. I'm talking a good few generations older. So I don't know what's going on with it. Something's interfering with it. I don't know. But hopefully I can figure out what the hell's going on eventually. Either that or I'll have to find a new program or a new type of camera. That's the phone you just got today. The S26 Ultra. Well, keep in mind, for everything else, it's been perfectly fine. Apparently, trying to use Droid Cam and OBS on it isn't as smooth as I thought it would be. And it's not a cheap phone. Good grief. But everything else has been fine on it. I don't know why this is acting up. And the funny thing is, it was working perfectly fine a moment ago until I turned the lights off. Don't be a dick. Yeah, this is my life here. Hold on a second. I'm going to try this. There we go. Tried restarting it, and of course it's not working. I'm just going to blip in and out of existence here. This is going to make trying to torch knife and show how it's done a lot more interesting. Are you gonna? Yes, you are. No, you're not. Yes. No. Stop it. I will punch you. It wouldn't be the first time I've thrown a phone out the window. Okay. I do have coverage on this phone. I will throw it out the window. So this is everything aside from the Barlow that I've got this last week. So a little show and tell on what came in. As you can see, I do tend to go a little hog wild on knife purchases. I can't help myself. I like to collect knives. Thankfully, 2 of these were presents, so I I still spent too much. We have the QSP Ferret. We have the Victorinox SMKW limited edition donut. We have the Mahogany Bone Mini Trapper, 30th anniversary. We have the Tequila Sunrise Mini Trapper. We have a Tequila Sunrise Father's Day Cheetah Cub. The Navy Blue Bone Rogers Jig Axe Handle. And what we're going to be burning today, the Bright Green Gator Jig Mini Trapper. And we'll also be burning my Samsung Ultra, or Samsung 26 Ultra. Probably tossing that in a fire. There we go. And the Olight O-Pen 3. So those were the new ones this week. Now I'm going to get prepared to do some burning, possibly of a phone, as soon as I make room. So we're going to move a lot of this off to the side. Got my tools out. Actually, I don't even know why I don't think I need my screwdriver. Got my tray. There we go. Got my tray. I keep this out just in case I need some pliers. Generally don't, but just in case. And some painter's tape. And I have a fire extinguisher because I am a safe boy. And my torch, which has been filled. So, yay. And why does this seem a lot darker now than, really? Whatever. So we are going to burn this today. Let me grab some cleaning cloths. And we're going to make sure we wipe this down. I haven't oiled or done anything with this one. Normally, if I'm going to burn a knife, I don't do anything with it in terms of cleaning it, unless it's like exceptionally gunky in the well, like there's a bunch of gunk in here. If there's like way too much gunk in here, I won't bother, or I'll clean it out a little bit. But I try not to oil it or anything like that, because I don't want to introduce oils. They'll end up getting burned away. But I don't want essentially cooked oil affecting anything on the knife. And I give it a good wipe down, make sure it's nice and clean on the surface. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna also tape, so it's a little safer to handle, the blades. Blip, blip, blip. Yeah, no kidding. It's going to drive me insane. I'd love to get a dedicated camera for this, but dedicated cameras are expensive as hell. Especially if I want to get one that's a decent quality. You'd think, because phone cameras are amazing in quality. It's just, I don't know what kind of issue I'm running into the connection with now I use Droid Cam, which is an app on the phone, and then I have a plugin that connects to OBS, and I have a feeling it has something to do with a plugin, because it keeps losing connection. That's why it keeps stuttering or blacking out. The funny thing is, you can see video. I'm assuming you can see well, up at this point, okay, you can see video. However, the funny thing is my phone says there's no current connection, which is silly. But anyway, let's see here. Wait, are you? Is it been okay? I just noticed my studio's been lagging a little bit, so I wasn't sure if you guys were actually seeing video or not. Okay, so I got one blade taped, and then we're gonna extend the other blade. We're gonna tape that as well. This just makes it a little safer to handle. And I like to extend the blades when I'm doing a toast, because this way it gives me something to grab a hold of if I need to move it around. And the blades themselves act as a little heat sink that helps cool the knife down after after I torch it a little quicker. Don't want to cool it down too fast, but this helps without, like, it's not a rapid cool, but just acts like a little heat sink. So now we got everything wrapped up. Yeah, you guys are enjoying every little hiccup, aren't you? Good grief, this freaking phone. I might have to look up. I'm going to have to save some cash. Might have to look up another type of camera. I have like a web camera, but it doesn't reach shit. And it might work. I don't know. I'll have to dig around or just buy a new one. It's not like I do like super high resolution. I'd love for it to be at least able to do 4K, even though I don't normally shoot my videos in 4K. But I'd like that capability if I were to do so. Most everything I shoot is like in 1080. But there we go. So just wiping this down a little bit more, making sure I get rid of any oils, any gunk, whatever, what have you. And sides look nice and clean. And then we're going to start toasting this in a little bit. Otherwise, if you guys have questions on what I'm doing, how I'm doing that, and the materials I'm using, it's actually really simple. I'm using this little tin as a way to, not burn anything else on my table. And I have essentially what is a cooking torch. Just no name brand I got off Amazon. And I use that to do my to do my toasting. I would think you can pretty much use anything as long as you can control the flame. In regards to, you can easily manipulate the flame. This should be fine. You could probably even use one of those little tiny handheld lighters, although I can't imagine those being that strong. You might need to do a lot more work. The biggest thing when it comes to torching these and toasting these knives is really patience, because it doesn't all happen in one go. I have to keep a close eye on the temperature. And oh, that reminds me, I should be grabbing my thermometer. You have to keep a close eye on the temperature, because I don't like to go. I try not to go over 170 degrees, 150, 170 degrees. I definitely make sure I don't go over 200. So I have a little laser thermometer that I keep handy. Well, would have kept handy, except it's in the kitchen. And that way I can keep an eye on it. And then if I get to that point with a temperature, then I have to make sure I give enough time for it to cool down. And I like for it to cool down on its own. Like, I'm not trying to, I don't blow on it and cool it down too fast, because bone can crack, just like anything else with extreme temperature fluctuations. So you want to let it cool on its own, and that takes time. So be right back. And grab my thermometer. Okay, there we go. So I got my little laser thermometer. Ow! I hit my table. A little reference point. We are at 70, 80. We are at 84. Really? 84 degrees, 81. Make up your mind. 84 degrees Fahrenheit. Which seems awfully warm. How's it going with my thermometer? I mean, if it's going to err on, like, on the warm side, that's fine. But it should not be 79 degrees. What's the temperature in my apartment? Hold on a second. Okay, had to turn the air conditioner on. I was like, why is it so warm? Okay. Yeah, it could also affect the internal temp. So that'll help cool things off a little bit. Now, what I like to do is I like to start off on the edges and then work my way in. And I'll usually start at one side. Generally, the pivot side of the bolsters is where I like to start. And what's going to happen is when I first start torching this, the dye is going to get a lot lighter. It's like the torch burns away a little bit of the dye. So you'll see the color get a bit lighter before it actually starts to take on a brown toasted color. As you can see there, I don't know if you can see it, that lost quite a bit of color over by the pin. The other thing you have to be careful of is lingering too long where the pins and bolsters are, because again, with the temperature fluctuations, you don't want to introduce the heat too quickly, and pins have a tendency to retain heat. And since bone can shrink, that could be a place where it might start cracking. So it's a very long process, primarily because it takes time for it to cool between bursts of flame. So this is already, where I'm hitting it is already at 100, and it hit 120 degrees or 123 degrees. Now we're down to about 110, 107. So you can see how quickly it heats up. Having the air conditioner, I have a ceiling fan on low. Again, I'm not trying to cool it off too rapidly. I mean, a little bit doesn't hurt. A little air movement. You want a good amount of. Now, again, obviously you're burning something, so you're burning bone. So you're gonna have some fumes sometimes. Personally, I like it. Smells good. But you do want to do this in a well-ventilated area, because a lot of times now case knives have been pretty good with doing this. I've tried burning other knives from other manufacturers, and in some cases the adhesive they've used for either the pins or the shields, I've seen that start to melt and bubble and give off some funky fumes. In other cases, some manufacturers might seal their knives in something, so you have a layer of something else sitting on top of the bone that you might end up burn away. And again, you might have some funky fumes from that. I tried burning a red bone browning knife, and not realizing that, I don't know what, that's where I saw that the adhesive in the shield was bubbling around it as I was toasting it, and it might have been coated in something, because that one was smelling horrible. This one actually smells like burning bone. So in my opinion, not so bad. It smells pretty good. I should probably not try to inhale it all that much, but okay. So I've hit about 131. We'll let that cool off. So yeah, this does take quite a lot of time. It's not something that can be rapidly done. Whatever rubs your Buddha. So while we're doing this, if you guys have any questions on what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, or like you were saying before, you're not happy with the knife that you have, I'm happy to provide suggestions, or at least my opinions on that if you want. Obviously, get what you're most comfortable with, get what makes you happy. But if I can point you in the direction of something that you might like. That was weird. The tin buzzed. I think it's because it was resting funny and they got the vibrations of the air conditioner going. So we are over at 100 degrees all over where I've got the laser. With it peaking at about 110 degrees right where that was at. Yeah, right around there. And that's cooling. It's the fumes, maybe. The other thing to keep in mind when doing this is one thing that I learned really quick is be happy with what you've done. And by that, I mean, if you've got it down to a certain, burn, like brown or whatever, don't over, a lot of times I'll burn something. I'll be like, oh, that could be darker. Maybe a little darker. I'll look at it, maybe a little, and then I'll be like, oh, now it's too dark. And I've done that on a couple knives. Well, not too dark, but a lot darker than I anticipated doing. And the thing with toasting knives like this is you can go darker and darker and darker. You can always toast the knife more, but you can't go backwards. So if you think you got it where you like it, let it sit for a good week or two and then come back to it and look at it again. Let it sit for a while. Because, you don't want to keep second guessing yourself and then overdoing it because you won't be able to go back. So if you think you got it to a point where you like it, let it sit for like a week or so and then come back to it and look at it again. If you're still happy with it, awesome. You don't need to do anything further. If you're really think you could use a little more, go for it. But just know that you can't lighten it back up. You can't undo what you've toasted. Turning that knife into a browning. You missed the specs on the first black knife on the table at the beginning. That's what you normally carry. That was an Ontario Rat Model 1.5. And I have a few rats. That's my newest one. And I will show it to you in a second while this cools down. Ontario rats they've been around for a while. They have kind of a cult following because they are very simple knives, liner lock knives. Let me grab that. This is that 1.5 that I pulled out earlier. Dual thumb studs, liner lock. Okay, right there. And what makes this one special is it's made, the blade steel is made out of Magna Cut steel, which is probably my favorite knife steel. It's a premium knife steel, and a lot of times you're going to be paying quite a bit more money for Magna Cut. But what Ontario did is they made their rat with Magna Cut steel, also treated optimally for that type of steel. Like a hardness rating of, I believe it was like 63, almost 64, which is right on the high side of where you want that steel to be. So not only are you getting a premium steel, but you're getting one that's properly treated in a rather inexpensive for what it is knife. Typically, before I got this one, most Magna Cut steel knives usually run, I think the lowest I've seen was like roughly around $145, roughly around there, $140. And that was the Kershaw Bel Air, which even then I got it on sale. Awesome, amazing knife, actually, the Kershaw Bel Air. But you're looking at $150 for that, if not higher. A lot of other manufacturers, you could be looking at something closer towards $200, $250 for a Magna Cut steel knife. This one, amazingly enough, for a premium steel and a well-treated premium steel, runs at just under $100, which is fan-friggin-tastic. They run on washers. They don't have ball bearings in the pivot, but the nice thing about running on washers and not ball bearings is there's less space for gunk to get in and muck things up. Like if I were to drop this in muddy water and I were to, take it out of that muddy pool, it should be acting just flawlessly as if it never landed in the water in the first place. If you drop something like, say, a knife that had ball bearings in it, you got all those spaces in between the ball bearings for gunk to get in. And if you drop it in something like, nasty muddy water, or dropped it in the mud, a lot of times dirt can fill in those spaces, and next thing you know, you have this gritty blade movement, or it might get stuck. It just won't work or feel as good as it should until you literally take the knife apart and clean out those ball bearings, and then put the knife back together. These generally knives that use washers, and a lot of Spydercos do that as well. I think most, if not every Spyderco uses washers, are typically harder use knives because they can handle that type of abuse and still keep going strong. And the entire Ontario Rat does just that. Now, I say this is super inexpensive for what it is. Again, Magna Cut steel for under $100, but I know there's some people that are like, that's still under $100. That's a pricey knife. I completely understand that. But this is new from Ontario. Their original ones were the Ontario Rat 1 and the Ontario Rat Model 1 and the Model 2. And the differences on the Model 1 and Model 2 are generally sizes as well as blade steels. Let me grab my Model 1 and 2 out. This is the model. Okay, this is the Model 1.5. This is the Model 1. Uses a lesser expensive AUS 8 steel, but it's a perfectly fine steel, especially when you consider that same features and everything primarily. But this one runs roughly about $40. Slightly bigger blade, the Model 1. This is the 1.5. And then you have the Model 2, which has a 3-inch blade. Essentially, same thing, just smaller blade, a smaller overall. Again, this one has the lesser expensive AOS 8 steel. Again, roughly around $40. And they are amazing knives. I've carried, especially the Model 2, with me actually quite a lot. But if you want something with a little bit more premium stuff to it, like the Magic Cut Steel, and G10 scales, which tend to be a little grippier, a bit nicer. The AOS 8 versions use FRN scales, which is basically either FRN or GRN scales. They're kind of interchangeable, which is basically a fiber reinforced nylon, or typically like a fiber reinforced like plastic. But you will save considerable amount of money by going this route. Is it a premium steel? No, but I mean, it is a knife that does what it needs to do. Very easy to sharpen. Is a hard-working knife, hard-use knife. Runs on washers, and for $40, really can't go wrong. You're basically your choices are. At that point, what color you want to go with. They do come in a few different colors. There is another steel that these come in called S35 VN steel. But the funny thing is the S35 VN steel blade, while a premium steel, is typically not considered on the same level as MagnaCut, yet for some odd reason runs around, if not a little over, $100. So if you were to get a premium Ontario Rat, I would go the 1.5 MagnaCut. You save a little bit of money, and you get a really good premium steel. If you're looking to get something inexpensive but a really good hardworking knife, go for the Model 1 or the Model 2 in AOS 8 steel. Considerably less expensive, still a great knife, very popular knife. I love these things, and you really can't go wrong with it. It just depends on what size suits your purposes better. But that's what those are, the Ontario Rats. They've been out for a while, have a really big following. A lot of people, including me, love them. Just a great all-around knife. And we're going to go back to this because this has had considerable amount of time to cool. Now I'm going along the edges. Let's see where that's at. Even tempered folded steel blades face challenges on ranches. Yeah. If you're looking for something fixed blade, I have some suggestions on those too. All depends on, like, again, a lot of times what you're willing to spend, if you have any special uses that you're looking for. Okay, I hit 155, so just where I want to be. We're going to let that cool for a bit. Yeah, it all depends on what you're looking to spend, and, like, do you need a larger knife? You're just looking for a smaller one. I don't normally collect a lot of fixed blade knives. Normally I go with folders. If you're still looking for a folder, but you want something that's even more solid, one that a lot of people tend to overlook are cold steel knives. Cold steel knives used to have a reputation. They're great knives, but they had a reputation because a lot of times the manufacturer, they came out with these wacky videos to show how strong they were. They were cutting into sides of beef or pork, chopping at wood and hanging weights off the blades to show how strong the locking mechanisms are. And they were corny and cringy as all get out. Now they stopped doing that since I think they were acquired by another company, but they used to come out with the weirdest videos. But the funny thing is, they really did showcase how strong their knives were. And I think cold steel knives, I think they suffered under the new management for a little bit, and they're not as widely regarded as they used to be. But they have been some fantastic knives in the past. They still are, like this Recon 1. Now, it's not a premium steel. This one is an AUS 10A steel, so slightly better steel than the Ontario Rat. but this comes with their tri-lock. And what that is, it's a lock back, except it's made in a different way than your typical back lock, which makes it actually stronger and resistant to wear. So if the locking mechanism over the course of years and years and years of flicking this thing open, if it were to wear a little bit where the locking system is, it actually kind of sort of self-adjusts. So you're not going to have any play introduced into the blade. It's just going to sort of self-adjust itself. So it's always going to be a solid locking mechanism. And not only that, I mean, they're super strong locking mechanisms where, I mean, I think they advertise that you can hang, like, I think they said like 800 pounds of weight off the tip of this knife. Like if you had this knife in a vise, this will hold like 800 pounds before this lock will ever fail. Now they're not the fidgetiest knife in the world. It is a lock back type mechanism where you have to press down, drop the blade a little bit, and then you can close it the rest of the way. Or if you really want to be a little safer, you just use two hands to close it like that. But they are solid knives. Again, these run on, I do believe these run on washers as well. I don't think these run on, these run on washers. They don't run on bearings. So another really solid knife. You really can't go wrong with a lot of cold steels. The Recon 1, which this one is, seems to be one of the more popular models. I do believe you can get these in different steels, although you will spend considerably more. Now I can't recall how much the Recon 1 was from Cold Steel. This one, if I remember correctly, actually got off Amazon. We'll take a look real quick. Cold Steel Recon 1. This particular model that I got ran about $50. And that was on Amazon. Like I said, you can get different blade profiles. They have a Tonto style blade. They even have a 2-inch micro Recon. That's, oh my God, that's cheap as hell. Really? Now it's only 2 inches, so it's tiny, but they're showing it $18. And it has the same triad lock, the same strong triad lock. I already have one that's relatively small, but it's not the Micro Recon. This is called the Tough Light. This is also cold steel. This is a smaller blade, Warncliffe style, but has that same triad lock, really strong locking mechanism, which I really, really like. But yeah, so about $50 for this particular one. You can get more premium steels. However, then like for S35 VN steel, you're looking at about $130 for the premium steel version. So I mean, your options at that point are that's what your options are at that point. With the AUS 10A, you have different also blade profiles and different steels, the cheapest being about $50 if you're looking, or actually if you go for the Tonto with a 3-inch blade, the Tonto blade is going for about $45. Yeah, just under $45. So you can save $5, about $5 that way. But really, really good blades. Super strong locking mechanism, stronger than you'll probably ever need to worry about. And if you're, they're just not fidgety, meaning like, I like to fidget with my knives. They're like fidget toys. Like a lot of times if I'm doing work on the computer and I've got a knife nearby, I'm just doing this while I'm reading something. I'll just flicking them open and closed. Don't ask how many times I've accidentally cut myself this way. But and even there are some other knives that are even more fidgety because they don't have a liner lock that I have to put my thumb, across the blade path. Some of them have buttons, so I'm just flicking them open and closed. But I like to fidget with my knives. So the Mini Recon, not the most fidgety knife because of the triad lock. Takes a little bit more effort to close, a little bit more consciousness to close, I guess you could say. But they're solid knives. Really, really solid knives. You're a horse rancher and cattle rancher. Animals and things, your knives go through some stuff. Cold steel. I would suggest cold steel. The Ontario Rats. If money is not an object, Spyderco are fantastic knives. They're I know somebody mentioned, I think it was Chicken Fried Steak mentioned they were carrying a PM3. This is what a PM3 is. They're not the prettiest knives in the world, but they are solid knives. And for the longest time, I didn't get one because they were just so goofy looking to me. But once you get them in the hand and you feel how good they are in the hand, that's when you understand why so many people like these so much, because ergonomically, these knives are fantastic. This one's the Spyderco PM3. They have a larger version called the PM2. This has the one I got has a MagnaCut steel blade that's coated, and this is called their Salt series because they're made to withstand corrosion, and also come with what's called a compression lock. So it's a little piece here that you just pinch that releases the blade, and you can swing it closed. But fantastic knives. My favorite, now I do like the PM3. My favorite tends to be the Sage 5. I just happen to like the profile on the blade better. It's just my personal preference. This is Sage 5. Otherwise, relatively similar. This is a lightweight version, also with MagnaCut steel and that compression lock, so I don't have to pass a finger, across the path of a moving blade. You just pinch it closed, like so. Typical spider hole for deployment, and just fantastic in the hand. They feel so good in the hand. Like I said, they're not going to win any beauty contests, but oh my God, are they just amazing to use. Just super ergonomic and just feel really good. I mean, they said it themselves. They weren't trying to make knives that looked pretty. Their whole purpose was making knives that worked well, that worked really good, and they did a fantastic job on it. So those would be another suggestion. Other suggestions actually would be something like a case knife or a traditional knife, because traditional knives don't generally have locking systems on them, except for sometimes I might have a back lock. Traditional knives, they can have locking systems on them. I do have traditional knives from Case that have like a liner lock. I have some, like this one that I showed earlier. The Cheetah Cub has a lockback. There are other versions of lockback knives from Case, but those are also renowned, hardworking knives that I know. In talking with a lot of people during auctions, a lot of ranchers really like to use. They're just great, hardworking knives as well. And there's a lot of people that the big thing with them, they're really easy to start wanting to collect so many of them, because of all the varied looks and materials that you can get them in. And they come in so many different patterns, like, the mini trapper, the regular size trapper, the axe handle, the Cheetah Cub. One of my favorites to carry, other than some of these, are like muskrats and sow bellies. Now, do I have a sow belly here? Yeah. Or do I have a muskrat here? Nope, that's not a muskrat. Where's my muskrat? Do I have a muskrat out here? Okay, well, this is not a muskrat. Well, crap. I don't have a muskrat out here. But one of my favorites are these sow bellies, or some people like Stockmans, which are similar. Sow bellies have a slightly different shape. This happens to be a carbon steel sow belly. This one has 3 blades. You got a clip point, you have a Warncliffe, and you have a tertiary spay blade, or I can't remember if they call it a spay blade or pen blade. But this one has 3 blades to it, and this one also happens to be carbon steel. You can get stainless steel as well. Carbon steel, usually really easy to get a really nice sharp edge on them, but you do have to take a little bit better care of them because they can rust if they're not if they're not taken care of, but they can develop a really nice patina to them. This is an example of a locking blade. This one is also a carbon steel. This is a copper lock, except this one, instead of having a clip point blade, has a Wharncliffe blade. This one is an amber bone peach seed jig, I believe, copper lock. It is a locking blade, not the triad lock, but a back lock. So this does lock open, and you'll have to pinch that lock to close it. I use 2 hands for these. So if you want something that locks open, you've got that. And back locks tend to be pretty good, pretty strong locking mechanisms. This one, what was I holding here? Oh, this happened to be a Sodbuster Junior single blade, just a workhorse of a knife. Single blade Sodbuster. This one happens to be a carbon steel gray Crandall jig that I toasted myself. You can see a little toast on the ridges. Just a single edge or single bladed knife. Just a really a lot of ranch hands like these Sodbusters. A really just hardworking single bladed knife. You really love your Spyderco knife. I love my Spyder. I went from, like I said, I used to think they were goofy looking, but I couldn't really form an opinion because I didn't own them at that time. And then I got a really good deal on 2 of them. So I got a PM2 and I got a PM3 and that Sage 5 that I just showed you. I got them both at the same time on a deal from Chasing Blades. Sorry, coffee break. And those were my first 2 Spydercos. And ever since I got those things, I went from having my first 2 Spydercos to now I have 8. The only thing with Spydercos is they're not cheap. So if I get a Spyderco, I'm usually waiting for a while till, I'm waiting for them to go on sale, and hopefully I nab them when they're when I see a good sale. The last Spyderco I got was that what do they call it? I forgot the name of it. Oh yeah, the Yojimbo 2, which was created initially as a fighting knife. Created as a fighting knife. There we go. The Yojimbo 2. Super goofy looking knife. Just the weirdest looking knife in my opinion. Again, though, looks weren't the main, they weren't a consideration. The design was making a good fighting knife. Now, the same thing that makes this a good fighting knife also makes this a great EDC carry for just general use because of the really razor sharp Wharncliffe blade on this one. But the star of this is just how it feels. Again, how it feels in the hand. I was wondering why there was a weird curve to this. And then I happened to just naturally put my hand and thumb like that. And then, oh my God, that fits perfect. It just feels great like this. And like you get a nice grip on this one, really solid grip, no slippage. And having your thumb on the spine like this allows you to really apply a good amount of power to that edge when it's needed. And it's also really nicely hollow ground. As you can see there, it's a curved hollow grind, which makes that edge super, super slicey. And it comes to a really amazingly fine point. Now, this thing is sharp as hell, so I got to be very careful. It comes to a very, very fine point. So piercing stuff, opening box, like bags of feed, things like that, not a problem for something like this. This will make short work of anything that you have to do on the ranch. Problem with this thing, now I did get mine on sale. I actually got mine on sale for under $200, but I think average price of these is roughly around like $250, unless you have a good sale. And I did replace the pocket clip on this one with something that was a little deeper carry pocket clip because one complaint I have with Spyderco is I just really don't like how they have some of their pocket clips. But that was the latest one. That was like the 8th Spyderco that I've gotten. Let's see where we're at with this. Down there again. Okay, so I've got the edges down. Oh, just adding a little toast near the bolsters. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to toast the ridges of the jigging that's near the center without burning too much of the valleys. You can see a little bit finally coming in, starting to come in, or starting to come out there. A little close-up view. Actually, I wonder if we can move this a little closer. I'm going to touch my camera. Oh my God. Well, it broke. There we go. So we're a little closer as I toast this. I'm wondering if we can adjust this light so it's not so harsh. That's a little better. A little better. And let's see where we're at in temp. Terry, how you doing? Yeah, I really like Spyderco. When it comes to a hardworking knife, they're probably some of my favorites. It's hard to say. I've been asked like which my favorite knives before, and I keep coming with the same answer, which is they kind of all are. Because I'm not going to spend money on a knife that I'm not going to like. I've gone and bought knives blind before, kind of like the Spydercos. I've gone and bought knives blind before, but usually I do a lot of research before snagging a new knife. If I've never gotten that type of knife before, never gotten that brand before. So if I'm new to a brand, I do a lot of research. I look at a lot of reviews, because knives aren't always cheap. They can be pretty pricey. And I don't want to spend my money on something that I'm just gonna hate. So I do a lot of digging before I purchase a knife from a brand that I've never purchased a knife from before. Let me see if maybe it'll help if I tilt this a little bit. There we go. That'll lighten it up. That's a little better. Yeah, I think that's a little better. So they're all kind of my favorites. I mean, I love my Spyderco. Don't get me wrong. Spyderco are freaking awesome. But I love my Ramets. I love my my Concepts, even my Kaisers, my Savivis, my QSPs. I generally, if I'm not fond of a manufacturer, I don't collect many of them. I might get one as a test if I've never collected one from before, that, if people are raving about it. But if I do actually get something that I'm not too fond of, I don't hang on to it for very long. Life's too short to have too much space occupied by things I don't like. So, yeah, they're all kind of my favorites. There are knives I tend to go to a lot. Like I carry case knives a lot. I carry my Rosecrafts a lot. My Spydercos I carry a lot. Those Ontario Rats I carry a lot. When it comes to some of my more, I guess you can say, quote, premium knives, I have two like Concepts I like to carry, and that's the Tarraco. Hold on, where's my Tarraco? Where'd you go? I have so many knives that I kind of have to. Takes me a minute. There. My Concept Tarraco, which is a titanium front flipper, S35 VN steel. I just love how this one feels and looks, and it's just really easy to carry in the hand. Now, it's a front flipper, so some people like those, some people hate them. I happen to really like front flippers if they're done well. I've seen some front flippers that are done horrendously horrible. But this one has titanium flamed scales, which I think look absolutely fantastic. This is a frame lock. But this is another one that I like to carry around with me. The other one is also by Concept, and that would be the Loki. And this one also titanium bronze scales. This one has a Warncliffe blade. And you have thumb holes for deployment on this one. This kind of like how, or not a Wharncliffe, a sheep's foot. Kind of like if a sheep's foot and a harpoon sort of had a baby. But really grippy, great size to this. S35 V in steel on this one as well. The Loki, another one of my favorites to carry. Really nice and grippy. And just a fun carry. And I really love that pocket clip on these. A pen style pocket clip. Not deep carry, but I do like pen style pocket clips. And then there are some knives that I don't carry simply because they freak me out if they were ever get lost. Because they're really expensive. Like one of my other favorite knives, I should say, is the Remet Steed. This one. This one was new for this year. Awesome knife. I love this knife. Am I ever going to carry it? Probably not, because it's nearly $300. So this one just stays in my collection as a nice conversation piece. Although I have carried it, I don't carry it very often. And another one that I have that I don't carry very often, simply because of price, again, close to about $300 on it, is the Remet Saker Falcon, which is this one right here. This one, nearly $300. $300 is like my ceiling when it comes to knives, because after that, I mean, I have to save it. I have to save a bit to get a knife like this anyway. And also, I'm always hunting for sales and discounts. Like this is like $280 something normally. I didn't pay that. I got it on a sale and on a deal. But because that's how much the normal price is for it, I very rarely carry it. I very rarely carry it because if something were to happen, it's just too pricey for me to replace. I hope I can get another. Like a lot of times when it comes to really expensive knives, there are two things that I do. If I really want to be able to carry it, but I'm afraid that I'm going to, if something, because I can be a klutz. If I'm afraid something's going to happen to it, but I really want to carry it, a lot of times what I'll do is I'll get two. I'll either get two, or a lot of times, sometimes like Concept or Remet will sometimes come with they'll come out with a budget version of their knife, and a few other manufacturers will do this too. They'll come out, they'll have a premium expensive version, and then they'll come out with a budget version. And usually, like, I'll get the premium and like, oh, I really like this knife, but I really want to carry it, but it's really expensive. Oh, they came out with a budget. I'll get the budget version, and then that one I'll carry around. Like this one was a limited edition, exclusive, I believe, from Blade City, made by Kettlewell. These were highly limited. You can't now, while they sell this is called the Mini Griffin. Well, they still sell the Mini Griffin. You can't get it in this type of colorway or in this combination of color. It was very limited. I forgot how many pieces. I'd like to say between 100 to 200 pieces were made, and I managed to snag one. Close to $300 on this one. Okay, really pricey. Loved the knife though. This is an amazing knife, the Mini Griffin. Absolutely amazing. It looks like super angular, but it's surprisingly comfortable in the hand. You got a button lock there. That's a button liner lock. Very easy to open. You got a rear flipper. You got a front flipper. You got the thumb holes. And they're just gorgeous knives. But they're pricey and limited. So if something happened to this, I'd have to look. I'd be lucky to find it on the secondhand market. And if I did find it on the secondhand market, I'd probably pay a lot more than what I originally got or originally paid for that one. So I was ecstatic when I found out they made a budget version, which was just under $100, I believe, a G10 version with non-premium stuff to it. Still good materials. G10. This one happens to have, I believe, a 14C28 steel blade, which is great. And but otherwise, for all intents and purposes, shaped exactly the same, functions exactly the same, feels the same, even works the same. That same feel, same function in a much cheaper package. This one I've actually carried a lot. This was my favorite release of 2025. just an amazing knife. The Ketuo Mini Griffin. This is the G10 budget version. So this one I like to carry. I call this a Stormtrooper for obvious reasons. But awesome, awesome knife. And so because I'm terrified something could happen to the really expensive one, I'll carry that around with me. And it's just a great knife. Those are one of the knives that I wasn't familiar with the manufacturer. So I took a chance after seeing a lot of reviews. And I was happy I got it. Okay, we're doing more of the ridges here, trying to get them a little darker. Let's see where we're at there. 112, 125, 130, 140 degrees. Okay, why did something say 170? I'm not seeing it. Okay. Got to be careful of the shield area and where the pins are. Because, again, I don't want to heat it up too fast, too high, because I don't want anything to crack. And if anything's going to crack, it's going to crack near the pins or the shield. But those lines are coming across very nicely. You had a front flipper once, almost cut off a finger. The scars are real. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I happen to like front flippers, but at the same time, it depends on how they do it. I've had some front flipper knives that were horrendous. They just did not work well. Kind of like my phone right now, who I'm going to slap. God dang it. Stop. Go. Thank you. Kind of like my, I forgot what I was saying. There's some front flipper knives that I've got that just don't work well. Thankfully, that wasn't the only way to open them. So at least that was a plus. I think Ramet made some, I love these knives, but for example, I think they consider this a front flipper. This is a Meteor, copper carbon fiber, scales or inserts over titanium scales. This one's also a button lock as well, a button liner lock, I believe, or button frame lock, a button bolster lock. Weird. Really cool knife, beautiful knife, but I think they consider this a front flipper. This here, if my camera will not freeze, right here, but it's just so far out and out of place. I hate using it. It works. It's just really awkward. But thankfully, you have the button that you can use to flick the blade out if you want, and you also have dual thumb studs, which work perfectly fine. So awesome knife. But the design of that front flipper is, unless it wasn't meant to be a front flipper, which I hope it wasn't. Oops. Bad front flipper design if it was supposed to be one. If they're done well, I love front flippers. They're my favorite to get if they're done well, like that Tarako. That Tarako was done fantastic. All right. Let's see where we are with this. If it's cooled down enough. That was my stomach. I hope you didn't hear that. My stomach is being loud. Okay. So right now I'm just trying to add enough detail to those ridges. I think they're coming out actually really well, though. Where are we at? 115. Doing pretty well on the temperature front. So we are almost done with this side. I just want to hit it from this side to make sure I get it nice and even. So we're gonna give it a little time to cool off. And we'll see how this goes in a little bit. You know, I had a pretty decent breakfast. My stomach should not be doing this shit. I forgot to share this stream like an idiot, but oh well. I've had this up for a while, so people should know. All right. Color is coming in quite nicely. Again, the hard part is really knowing when to stop. Because sometimes you'll see a bit that's like, oh yeah, I can... Oh no. I think my torch just went out. And it's not out of... Are you kidding me? Oh no. My torch broke. Of all the things, nothing wants to work today. My torch literally broke. It no longer clicks. So hold on a second. Okay, so I gotta buy a new torch. Son of a cockback. However, I do have a mini torch, so we might have to go with that. Let me see here. I just got to make sure that this sucker is filled. Where did... I forgot to grab the... Good grief. I'm doing great today. Forgot to grab the butane. Okay, I'm back. Okay. Yeah, having a week. I am having a week of it. So, my cooking torch died. Thankfully, it wasn't very expensive. Unfortunately, I had filled that fucker up. So, that's a problem because that's a waste of butane. I hate that. But yeah, no longer sparks. That's weird. Okay. Let's fill this one up and hopefully I can keep this going. Otherwise, we'll be ending this burn a little prematurely. So we'll fill this one up. And this one's just a little hand lighter. I mean, I use that for cooking too. I'm gonna have to get a new torch. Well, the phone's not necessarily broken. It just doesn't like to do what I want it to do. All right, this is at least filling up. Because the only other way to do this would be to use an open flame, which, like I said, one of the big things with doing a burn like this is having complete control over the flame. And an open flame, you don't really have too much control, which would make things really difficult. I could also use this to light. I could also technically use a lighter to light this. Actually, you know what? I wonder if that would work. Give me a second. Okay, I just realized my mic is off. God dang it. It's my week. No, so this is working. There's no igniter on the other torch. And unfortunately, it doesn't seem to even be expelling gas. Which is weird because it's blowing air out. It's not igniting anything though, which is strange. Like I can blow the flame out with this. That's strange. But I can't light this torch. And sad part is it's still got quite a bit of butane in it, which really, really sucks. This one is a little hard to do because it's not as fine a point of flame as the cooking torch. It might be doable though. So I just fill this up with butane. We'll see how this works. At least I got one side done. So that's nice. There we go. Kind of a bummer. I'll be shopping for a new cooking torch. Ron Crow enters giveaway. Should. Let's see here. I'm just waiting for this to cool off, and then we will flip this to the other side and see how I'm able to do the other side with this lighter. Which is essentially a cigar lighter. Actually, I don't know what the functions of this thing is. I'm kind of sad that actually I don't know what this is. It's got a weird theme to it. Oh, that's to cut something off the tip of the stick. Never mind. Okay. All right. So we're just waiting for that to cool off. So, any other questions while we wait for this to cool off? At least I got this side done. This side came out really nicely. Bring this up a little closer. I think that came out really nice. I wonder how much a cooking torch is going to cost me. I know the cooking torch that I got wasn't too expensive, so I can't imagine they're going to be too bad. Cooking torch. I think the soonest I can get one delivered is like 3 hours. Which is not going to be enough time for me to get it. Oh, that's not bad. Okay. That's like $16 for a little bit more if I wanted like 3-hour delivery. I don't need to get anything like super insane, but just as long as it works. Okay, hold on. Camera! Really? Stop it. So, fuel gauge, one-handed operation, kitchen torch lighter, adjustable flame for barbecue. Bingo. Time to buy me a new torch. Actually, what are the reviews on some of these? I want a good torch. I don't want too cheap of a torch. I don't want to. Well, actually, that torch has lasted me a while because I also would cook with that torch. So, I mean, through cooking and burning a number of knives and just doing a whole lot with it, I should be happy it lasted that long. I do not need a flamethrower. I would like a flamethrower. Don't really need one. Shit. But now that's on my radar. Yeah, I'm gonna have to order that. Poopy. Oh well. Yeah, no, the video cuts out. It's my phone. I use my phone for video, and sometimes it blanks out. I don't know what the issue is. I got a new phone, and the new phone is not playing as nice as I'd like it to play. So there we go with that side. Maybe let me see if I can touch this bit up a little bit. Give it a little bit more on that side. We're at 150 degrees, so I'm going to let it cool again. And then we're going to turn that over once it's cooled, and we'll work on the other side. And otherwise, that's not looking half bad. I like it. My goal was to really get those ridges to come out like I did on the Barlow. Where'd I put the Barlow? That's not looking half bad. I'm liking it. I'm really liking this look. This has become one of my favorite, the green gator jigs, simply because of how they come out when I toast them. It came out a lot better than I even imagined it would. So I can't wait for that axe handle to come in, and the new torch, because as soon as that axe handle comes in, I think Saturday we'll do the axe handle. It'll be the same green gator jig, just the same axe handle profile as this one, but it's going to look like this, and we'll torch that next week. I was hoping I'd have that today, but I guess it wouldn't matter since my torch gave out. There's a couple torches that now I'm trying to have to decide between, because I don't want a poop torch. Nobody likes a poop torch. Poop torches are poop. But I suppose I can get that. Problem is, I can order it for like super speedy delivery. The only problem is I don't think it would make it in time for like the end of this video. I mean, the fact that I can get it for super speedy delivery is cool. Let's see. Well, it's been ordered, so I'll keep my fingers crossed. Maybe it'll make it here in less time than I think. We'll see how this goes, because again, this lighter doesn't function like the cooking torch, and I don't want to muck this up. So, okay, temperature's dropped a bit, so I'll turn this over, and there's a good look at the toast on this one. That came out really nice. And then I'm going to do the other side. And then keep in mind also, once we're done toasting that, we're going to give it a good polish as well. I am just hoping that this works out. Otherwise, we might come to a quicker conclusion to the toasting than I thought. We'll start on this end. Okay. It's working. It's actually working. It does heat up the blade a lot faster, or the body of the knife quicker, so I'm going to have to be a little bit more careful, because it's a much more dispersed flame as opposed to that pinpoint of the cooking torch. And so I'm heating up a lot of the body faster than the cooking torch actually does. But it is working. My concern is going to be when I start doing the ridges, because it's a much more dispersed flame. Where are we at with temp? I'm at 130. We're gonna let that cool off a little bit. You guys have video back, right? This is not just a blank screen, I hope. Okay, I see video. Yes, I am playing with fire and sharp edges now. Just saw a comment on the EDC Squirrel channel. Okay. Let's check the temp. Now this one I'm going to do a little different. Okay. Actually, this is coming out a lot nicer than I thought. It's just, it is heating up faster. That's my only concern. So I'm having to do it in little bursts. Because I don't want to crack that bone. We're at just over 160 in some spots. So letting that cool off. How is that getting hotter? Stop. Okay, let that cool off a little bit. The squirrel hands. Oh, is the mic off? Wait, what? Don't stop it. Wouldn't be the first time. Okay, so any questions on anything going on? So far, this is going. It's going. I wish I had my torch working, but oh well. I still can't believe it broke. If I'm lucky, maybe it'll be quicker than 3 hours because I do want my cooking torch. This makes me sad. I wonder if I can salvage this. Probably not. But yeah, the clicky bit done died. You make me sad in pants. Oh, that's a lock. That doesn't do nothing. I see how you are. You little shit. You little shit. Okay. Fine. Be that way. Be that way. How do I get the butane out of there? Crap. Any about games later? Not this. No problem. I think I'll be on the game channel. I have a separate game channel called Durana's Game Cave. I will be co-oping with Ape tonight because we were having fun with this gas station game that we played last week. That was loads of fun. And I think we're going to be playing that again tonight. Okay. Let's see where we're at there. Now the only thing is I'm noticing it's lightening up. Oops, my mic. Lightening up the valleys a little bit more, which is fine. I'm wondering if, because some of these valleys stayed dark, and I'm wondering if there was some oil situated in the knife, because that'll do it. A lot of times if there's oil in the knife or in the bone, it will darken up the color. And I'm beginning to think that that's what it was doing. The other thing I got to be careful is this lighter also heats up a lot faster than the cooking torch does. So that gets a little harder to handle. But not bad. It's still working. Just not as easy as it is with a cooking torch. You can see the color difference. And you can see what I mean by there's possibly oil in that bone. You can see those really dark areas that almost seem like they've been soaked in something, or something like got soaked in. More than likely that's oil, because that burned off when I was first toasting this side, and now it's reappeared and even gotten a little darker. So I think there was some oil in that bone, or at least on that side. Probably when they were finishing at the where they were manufacturing this. I don't see much oil on this side, if any, but there's definitely some oil in the bone here. It sort of settled in all the valleys there, and on towards the side of the bolster. That will eventually dissipate, like even out, and it probably will lighten up eventually. So, and we're already getting this side close to where I want it. You gotta be careful because this thing is razor sharp too. Let's see where we're at with the temperature of the knife, because I noticed it was still warm in my hand, but we're still at about 100 degrees. We'll let that cool off a little bit more. They changed your handle on YouTube? Why did they change your handle on YouTube? I know they were doing weird stuff before. Like I noticed like a few months ago, like people were showing up with different names than what they had, and it's because YouTube went to a different naming convention or something on the fly. Did they change it back? Did they fix that? Oh, that clicking is me just checking temperature. That beeping. All right, so it's still coming along nicely, just not. I'm just having to be a little bit more careful with it. And like I said, this thing heats up a lot quicker than the hand torch. I don't know why it doesn't even light up, which is interesting. It's one thing for the clicker to go, another thing entirely for it to like not even expel gas. Which is pretty strange. I figured I thought I'd be able to light it up while just holding the trigger down, but I guess not. I'm gonna try it again for shits and giggles. Here I am playing with fire. Yay. Oh, the spark lit it. That's weird. The flames didn't. That works. Yay. Well, I'm still going to need another torch, but this is a lot easier to control, so I'm going to go with this way. It's funny. Apparently an open flame won't light it, but the sparks lit it. I'm actually going to go grab an empty lighter. I'll be right back. Okay, so I have an extreme lack of empty lighters, oddly enough. I guess I am that good at like keeping my lighters filled. So it's weird that YouTube would have changed it and matched it. But okay. Didn't think that was something they would do to match Twitch. All right, so all I need is a spark to start this thing and hopefully not cook a finger. There's a good chance I might cook my thumb. But I do like this, that I can use at least this. So this is a lot easier to control. Okay, you were just working. There we go. That's better. There we go. Let's see where we're at right now, temperature-wise. Okay. So a little on the high side, close to 180. We're going to give that a little bit more time to cool off. I don't want it to crack. But otherwise, looking good. Oh, you were trying to set up your streaming to YouTube too, but then everything went poop. I get you. So wait, you didn't stream on YouTube before? You were just streaming on Twitch? Okay, we're still at 140 degrees on the high side. Give that a little bit more time to cool. Salvaged, kind of. Kind of salvaged. I am liking how this green looks with this toast. Love the color. It does lighten it up quite a bit. I can't wait for that axe handle to come in. Now this one stayed a little darker. At the same time, I did polish and oil this, so that could possibly be why. We'll see what happens when I polish and oil this one once I'm done. But otherwise, the toast is coming in pretty well. I do want to even out a little bit of the edges and get a little bit more toast on the ridges on the jigging. Still just over 100. Where's my coffee? Can you guys hear me chug? No, you're just streaming on Twitch and the old Xbox streaming platform. Gotcha. I streamed on Twitch on the video game channel when I first started. But then I didn't realize back then that when I first started that Twitch doesn't keep your videos, so I was exporting everything to YouTube, which was kind of a pain. And then something happened, and I think like Twitch went down completely, for like a day or two or something like that. And at that point, I just said, "Screw it! I'm going to figure out how to stream on YouTube." Started streaming on YouTube instead, and I haven't looked back because I didn't have to export. I didn't have to export anything. I didn't have to worry about exporting to YouTube every time I wanted to keep a video, and I've just been doing it here ever since. And I just do this. I do this for fun. The video game thing was, started during COVID. It was something to do, keep, occupy my time. I thought it'd be a great thing to leave for my daughter as well. She had videos to look back upon, like now years of videos to look back upon, and I just had fun with it. And then I decided I wanted to do something more, and that's when I started doing the knife channel, just again as another fun thing to do because it was a way to meet and talk about one of my hobbies and meet people to talk about my hobbies and share information. Another way for me to learn stuff. I've said before, I've learned more about pocket knives overall since starting this channel than I have before. So it's been working out really, really awesome. The fact that I've met so many people with a similar hobby and passion for chatting about the hobby. And now there are some downsides. I've spent more than I ever spent before. But I'm having fun. That's what matters. I've had to slow it down since getting the wheel because the wheel is so expensive. So I'm going to add a little bit more on this side. Now we're going to add a little bit more on this side. And then I just want to add a little bit in the center. See where I'm at here. 150, 160. Okay, let that cool off. David, how you doing? Toasting a knife with a broken torch. How are things going with you? Doing another gator jig knife, except this time I'm doing a mini trapper. I did my Barlow, I think it was just a couple weeks ago. Did the Barlow, that I thought that came out fantastic. I'm doing a mini trapper right now, and the next week, because it didn't come in, my package is late. Next week I'm going to be doing a bright green gator jig axe handle, which I'm really excited about. It'll be the first axe handle well, this is the first Barlow I've actually customized, but it'll be the first axe handle I customize next week. Tying paracord, I have to get back into that. I still have a bunch of paracord that just sort of lying around because I ended up getting preoccupied with a bunch of stuff, and I haven't tied paracord. It might be because I kind of burned myself out a little bit because there was a moment where I was tying a crap ton of paracord, mainly because I was trying to sell it. And then spending so much time making paracord stuff, I might have burned myself out on it a little bit. I still have a bunch of paracord. I want to make more zipper pulls because those are like the easiest ones to do. Bracelets were fun, except bracelets are, you got to size them and all that other stuff. And, for a lot of people, it's, you make them one size. They're either too big or too small. So I might just stick with making like little zipper pulls or lanyards. Yeah, the axe handle I think will be awesome. I'm really liking how the color looks on these, and I can't wait. Actually, I should check the temp before I go torching this again. We're just about done with this one, I think. We're still over 100 degrees, so I'm gonna lay off of it. What are you carrying today, David? What was your EDC? What were you carrying in your pocket? I showed earlier I was carrying a crap, I can't remember. I was carrying a pocket knife. Crap, damn it. No, I can't remember what I was carrying. I know I was carrying the Ontario Rat 1.5. I can't remember what I can't remember what traditional I was carrying now. I know I was carrying a traditional. I just can't recall. I put it away and I can't recall what it was. It's around here somewhere. Oh, we were talking fixed blade. So, did that help? Give you any ideas on what to look for, on what you might be looking for if you were to pick up a knife? Like, how much would you be willing to spend? And I can give you at least a starting point, some thoughts and opinions. Anyway, I think the knives that I mentioned, the Ontario Rats. If you're worried about price, the Ontario Rats were a good start. The Cold Steel Recon was also a really good start. If price isn't too much of a worry, I would highly recommend the Spyderco's. When it comes to the Spyderco, it's just a matter of what sort of like hits your fancy. If you want something a little bit more fidgety, like the PM3 or the Sage 5, or if you don't care, you just want something solid that works, you can also get something like another favorite. This is the Native 5. This one comes with this one's a lockback knife, so it's not like it doesn't have that fidget factor, but yeah, the strength of a lockback. And this one happens to be in Spy 27 steel, and this is called their Native 5. Another one of my favorites, just not a fidgety knife, but it's meant to be. It's a tool. It's not a fidget toy. Feels again great in the hand. I love the blade profile on these. And then you have the Delica 4. This one similar steel, just a different blade shape, and size is somewhat similar, a little on the thinner side for the handle, but also a lockback. And I love where they have the lockbacks or the locks for these lockbacks, because they put them towards the middle, so they're still easy to close one-handed. They're just not like, super quick when it comes to it. So they have that lockback right there. What I do is I'll press down, drop the blade. You can see the blade drops where that dull spot hits my finger, where I stop it there, and then I just simply close it the rest of the way. Same with the Native 5. I do the same thing. I have my finger towards the choil. I'll drop it so it unlocks the blade, then close it the rest of the way. But those are also some solid choices. A little less expensive than the PM3 or the Sage 5, depending on the steel you get. But both also very solid workhorses if you're looking for something like that. You love the autocorrect on the phones? The Spyderco, the Recon looks like something that'd be good for the farm. Yeah, definitely. Especially like I mentioned, being on the farm, where there's a chance of getting gunked up, dropped in the mud, stuff like that. Those will handle those environments a lot better than, say, something like this that has ball bearings in the pivot, because dirt will get in the ball bearings if you drop this in the mud, and then you end up with something that you'll have to take apart to clean later on. It'll be all gritty because of the crap that's in there, and it might not open or close as quick. And like I said, you'll have to take it apart in order to get it back to working the way it should. So if you're looking to save money in that regard, Recon 1, solid choice. If you want something a little bit more premium, you could get an S35 Recon for $130, or you can spend a little bit more and get something like the Native 5 Delica, or spend even more and get something like the PM3 and the Sage 5. So, but both of those are really solid choices. Come on, torch. Light up. I don't want to have to use the hand lighter. You were working. Okay, now it doesn't want to light up. It was working. There we go. So we're going to add a little bit more to the end there. And then we're going to add a little bit more to this side of the bolster. But otherwise, I think we're pretty good. We're getting close to done with this. Kind of want to try to add a little bit more down to the center line. There we go. Nice toast down there. A little bit. A little bit more on this side. Okay. Don't want to overdo it. Those lines came in nice on this jigging. Okay, we're at 170, so we're going to leave it there. I think we're good. In fact, I think this side came out a little darker. No, about even. I think it's just this side's a little busier than the this they call this the pal side. This is the badge side or show side. They're about even on this one. It's just that there's more jigging. It's less busier here because you have the badge on this side. And there's also, like I said, I believe that's oil that was in the bone that's darkened up those valleys quite a bit. So it does look a bit different. Otherwise, darkness-wise, the burn seems to be pretty even. So there we go. So then all that's left is to polish and then oil and then make sure function is still good. Because sometimes heat can affect the function of the springs, which is why I stick to the temp. I'm very careful about the temperatures, trying to keep it trying to keep it to a certain point. Because you get it too hot. I mean, like I said, there's a couple things that you can that can go wrong. You could crack the bone, especially if the temperature fluctuates between hot and cold too quickly. So cracking the bone is one thing you got to be careful of. Also, if you get the springs too hot, it could affect how the springs work. And I've had, I think, maybe one case where I think I got too hot on a tester knife that I was doing, and the springs seemed to weaken actually a little bit. So I can't recall what temperature I had it, but I was kind of just testing things out. It probably went over 200 degrees, and that's why I say well under 200. You're making a King David sling today, 58-inch long. Whew. I've seen somebody use a sling, and oh my God, the power those slings have. When you think about like that whole David and Goliath thing, David essentially brought a gun to a sword fight. I saw somebody playing around with a sling, and the power they were getting off that sling was not even barely a twirl over the head, and he was breaking the sound barrier. You heard that thing crack like a whip, and that noise you hear when a whip cracks isn't the whip making that sound. It's the whip. The tip of the whip essentially breaking the sound barrier and creating a small sonic boom. And he was doing this with a sling. So, holy crap, that rock had to be moving. that rock had to really be hauling. Okay, I think I just want to even out one last light area here, and I think we're good. I'm going to start polishing this baby. If I can get the torch to work. I'm just glad I was able to get the torch to work a little bit. There we go. See, I'm seeing a light area. Okay, I don't want to overdo it, because like I said, you can go darker, you just can't go lighter. All right, I think we're good. Let's check the temps, and then we'll wait for it to cool down completely, and then we'll polish, check it out, and oil, and make sure we're good. So we're just under 120 degrees. I'll just be a few minutes, and then we'll be good to go. He was well slung. Man, if you saw that, and I think he was practicing and hitting trees, and you were seeing bark fly off that tree. Like, holy crap. And like I said, that sonic boom, that whip crack sound, getting from a sling. Not only getting that whip crack sound from the sling, but then to also get the accuracy to hit a tree that I can't recall how far it was, but just a wild guess from my own time on a firing range, I would have to say probably at least 20 yards. And it wasn't like it was a huge tree. Like maybe I don't know, It wasn't very wide. I'm thinking maybe like at best or at biggest, possibly maybe 2 feet in diameter at most. Maybe 1.5. So not a very big tree. So that kind of power, that kind of speed, and that kind of accuracy from a sling. And this, when we're talking about slings, we're talking about those slings where you're twirling them, or you've seen people twirl them around their head, or just twirl them in a circle. Not the type of spring that sits on your wrist, or not the type of sling that sits on your wrist with the elastic. Pretty nuts. I have a sling. Actually, Morgan got me a sling, and I'd love to use it, but I don't have anywhere to use it, or I live in a small apartment in the suburbs. I'm breaking a window by accident. So I'd love to use it, but I haven't had a chance to. You're going to slip in the game queue later. No one will know who you are because, yeah, there you go. I'll keep it a secret. I'll keep it a secret. I won't tell nobody. I'll leave that up to you. I will leave that one completely up to you. Let's see that temp. Good. We are good. Okay, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to see if I burn myself. It's warm to the touch, but not bad. Now, the other thing you have to be aware of is bones will shrink a little bit when, like just a barest amount when you heat them up or when you torch them like this. So if you do it too long, you can actually cause a lot of separation between the bolster and the bone. Other things that you want to be aware of when you do something like this. Now, this is not a crack, but there is like this, like, there's a line on the bone on this side. Now, that's not a crack, but if it's a big enough difference in height between, like, if it's like this jigging, it could highlight lines like that in the bone. And you can see here where there's a little line that it started to darken. It looks like it's a crack, but I took a good close look at it. It's not. It's just the texture of that bone. So that's one thing you want to be aware of when you're toasting something, is if there's anything on the bone that you don't want to highlight, toasting it could very well make it stand out. So that's another thing. And like I said, you want to be careful that, not too long. You don't want separation. You don't want spaces getting too big between the bolster or spaces too big between the liner and the bone. Because of, in this case, the cold doesn't cause shrinkage. The heat causes shrinkage. So just things to be aware of when you're toasting these things. It's not just adding a little brown. The bone can really get affected by the heat. And what we're going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and I'll get that over to the half stop. We're going to remove the tape. I'm going to check the spring. Still good walk and talk. Let's check the main blade. See how the walk and talk is on this. Still good walk and talk on the main blade as well. So walk and talk, a lot of times you'll hear people when it comes to these traditional knives, they'll talk about how a knife might have good walk and talk. When they say walk and talk, they're talking about how the blade, especially when it has a half stop like this does, how the blade moves and snaps open, where it settles in and snaps open on the slip joint, and also how it snaps closed. If you have that good click when it snaps closed and it's got a nice spring to it, that's, a lot of times they'll say it has a good walk and talk. And the blades on this have a good walk and talk still. Nothing seems to have affected the springs in any way, so I didn't overheat that, thankfully. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my sunshine cloth, which is a polishing cloth. There you are. This is a sunshine cloth. These are like jewelers' polishing cloths. They're used for polishing, a lot of times polishing jewelry, little metal items. They're great for polishing knives. This looks dirty, but when you use them, they turn black. And that's the oxidation, I believe, of the stuff, of the material that it's removing, because there's a very minor abrasive that's impregnated in these little cloths. You can't wash them. They're kind of like, once they're done being used, they're done, but they'll last a good long time. I've only used this side. I've still got this side that I can fully use, and they do last a while. But these are great for shining up anything that's metal. Like I said, a lot of people use them for jewelry. You just got to be careful that you don't use them on costume jewelry, because like if you've got jewelry that's like plastic that has like a metallic paint or coating on them, this will remove it faster than anything. Couple rubs and that paint is gone. Then you end up with a plastic piece of jewelry. So, but this puts a really nice shine on all the metal bits, and it will also shine the bone up pretty nicely as well. So I'll essentially polish the entirety of this knife. In East Tennessee, you call that a snap. Yeah, good snap, good walk and talk. How about Tammy again? You'll never guess what she's done. Oh, I can guess. I should have shown it a little close. You probably can see the difference. It was really dull. The shine kind of goes away when you torch these, but once I've run the polishing cloth, you'll see how shiny this thing gets. I should have probably shown it a little closer before I polished it. There we go. Shine is back. Nice and glossy. Look at that. Nice shine on that bone. That's looking good. I really love how these gator jigs look with the toast on them. And like I said, you can't go darker, although the polishing cloth can lighten things up a little bit, but not a lot, because those burns go kind of deep in the bone. So you can lighten it up a little, but don't expect it to lighten a whole lot. It basically gives it a nice shine, a nice little polish. It might remove or smooth out some rougher edges. There we go. And a nice mirror shine on it too. And one thing I noticed is even that lighter green, the darker green seems to be coming back a bit again, even on this other side. So, like I said, there was probably some oil there. Now, what I'm going to do, like whenever I torch a knife, when I toast a knife, I always... That's the first thing I do. If I know I'm gonna toast a knife, I don't do any cleaning with it. I don't oil it. I take it out of the box, wipe it down, make sure everything. I don't add anything extra to it. I wait till after I've toasted the knife, then I'll go through my cleaning, then I'll go through my oiling, and that's what we're going to do now. So that actually didn't take nearly as long as I thought it might. I'm gonna move my mat back over here with everything on it, and we're gonna change the camera a little bit. Hopefully it don't break, because it's been working decent so far. Whoa, 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 whoa. That's good. Yeah. Patrick, how you doing? All right, so I'm going to move all this stuff out of the way. I might do another tequila sunrise. I don't know yet. I might buy another Sodbuster tequila and do another one of those. I thought those came out pretty well too, but my favorites right now have been these smooth gator bones. These smooth green gator bones, or bright green gator bones. Why do I keep saying smooth? Bright green gator bones. Why is that such a mouthful to say? Okay. So I just dropped that on my toe. Ow. All right. What's this doing there? Go away. All right. So getting that nicely polished. We're going to go and give this a cleaning. The way I like to clean this, getting kind of low in this oil. I like to use this camellia oil. This is essentially Japanese knife oil. I like to use this stuff for a lot of my knives because it's also food safe. So if you like using your knives on food, like, cutting up your steak or whatever, this isn't going to screw you over. And same thing with my modern knives. I'd like to use something like this on the pivot. This is KPL. This is a bit more expensive, but this is also food safe. And I just like to put that in the pivot to help sometimes smooth things out, but otherwise protect the pivot from like premature wear, since you got parts rubbing up against each other. This oil, I like to use this on the pivot for the traditionals, and also to kind of like drown the well and clean out any dirt or debris that could be in the well. And the well I'm talking about is this area where the blade sits in. That's the well. And a lot of times with the traditional knives and the manufacturing process, they don't really get cleaned out too well. Sometimes. Depends on the manufacturer too. Like, oh my God, Rosecraft knives, amazingly clean knives, inside and out. Case knives, on average, pretty clean, but I've also had case knives that were insanely gunked up with stuff. So it's kind of hit or miss. Frost knives and Rough Riders tend to be the dirtiest on average, but even Rough Riders aren't really that bad. What did I do with my little tiny brushes that I could have sworn I had off to the side? There they are. Okay. So I like to take some of these brushes. Actually, I think I have some already over here. There we go. Some of these micro brushes, I think a lot of people use those for like makeup. I think they're great for cleaning knives. And I need a few more microfiber cleaning cloths. I thought I had one. I could have sworn I had one at the ready that I was going to use for the oil, but that also seems to have disappeared because I have so much crap around me. It's amazing that I can keep track of anything. All right, scratch that. No, I can't keep track worth shit. Because everything keeps disappearing on me. Okay, I don't know what I did with that cloth. I had an oil cloth that I was using, and that seems to have decided to disappear. Crap, damn it. All right, have at it then. I'll just use a different cloth. I have so many of these cloths anyway. I'll use this for the oil. Okay, so what I'm going to do, actually I should close this. Use these for art. I use these to clean stuff. And I'm going to dribble some oil at the pivot side. I'll take one of these brushes, and then I'll basically just run it through, kind of wipe the oil or swipe the oil all over the place and clean any gunk that has to be sitting in this area here. You can see the brush getting kind of dark. And the reason for the cloth is then I'll take this brush and I'll kind of roll it over on the cloth to take out the excess oil. And I'll do the other side. And that helps remove a lot of the gunk and also lubricate the pivot. So a lot of times if you have a traditional knife that feels a little gritty when you're trying to open and close it, a lot of times doing this will smooth it out. And a knife that otherwise would like feel like kind of junk will feel like new again. So just trying to remove all the excess oil and any dark stuff that I can see. And that's pretty good. And then the oil will also wick down into where the pivot is, where these knives pivot and are attached to the rest of the handle. So they'll help keep that lubricated. We'll open one, and then what I'll do is, again, starting from the pivot area, I will dribble down oil so that right to the point where I can see it running down the well. Oop, and my camera shuts off. There we go. Right to where I can see the oil running down the well like that. I essentially just drown the well in oil. Then I'll take a clean brush. And what I do here is, starting from the pivot, I kind of swipe the brush down, remove excess oil and any gunk that might be in that well. This one's actually not too bad. The pivot area had a little bit of gunk on it, but the inside was actually decently clean. And this is also, this bottom part of the well is also your spring. This is the spring that keeps the blades in position, like so they're not just flopping around. So dribbling oil down that well will help lubricate that spring, since that's another area where metal tends to rub on metal. And anytime I get a traditional knife, I don't care how new it is, how clean it looks, this is something I'd always do. Even with some of the more modern knives, like, oops, I lost the tip to that somewhere. Oh, it's on the cloth. Even more modern slip joints, I'll do the same thing. This is how I clean them out. And like I said, it just helps keep it nice and lubricated in there. Help it last longer. And prevent corrosion. And then I'll open and close it a couple times, see how it acts. Again, great walk and talk on this one. One thing that I watch is also, like when I snap it shut, I look at the edge, make sure that the edge isn't bouncing off the spring, because if it bounces off the spring, you end up with a dull spot on the blade. And that's an indicator that you have a weak spring. Something like that, if you had a weak spring, there's not a whole lot that I could do. I know some people, very few people are capable of actually taking these apart and redoing them. I've seen some people do them on videos. But if I had a weak spring, like if I snapped this shut and it hit the back of the spring and I ended up with a dull spot, this is going back to case. Although, however, to be quite honest, because I toasted this, I don't know if case would cover that under the warranty. But if you open a box, a new knife, you snap it shut and you end up with a dull spot, that's something that you probably want to take and have the manufacturer look at. More than likely, they'll probably replace it. This is doing well, though. We're going to go ahead and now do the same on the other well, the secondary. Pour a little oil until it runs down. You can see it running down in the well. And that's all you need. You don't need a ton. And then any black stuff, I saw some black stuff there already. I'll just brush down towards the bottom of the well. And then remove the excess oil by swiping or rolling the brush on the microfiber cloth that I have here. And it'll just leave enough oil to basically wick in between the spring in the liners, so that's all nicely lubricated. I just do this so that way it's not leaking oil all over the place. As you can see, I'm already getting oil on my fingers here. And you don't need a lot. I know people that essentially dunk their knives in oil. I think that might be a little overkill personally, but teach their own. If it worked for them, that's all that matters. Okay. So now that oil is also going to start wicking through to the other side. Ooh, there goes the camera. Is that what you guys are? Okay, so the oil will start wicking through to the other side as well. You can see oil starting to come out on the back where the springs are. So that's going to take some time to sort of wick through. And I'll just periodically swipe this over the microfiber cleaning cloth to soak up that oil. So it's going to continue to do that for a little bit. I'll just do that every so often to remove the excess oil, and that'll just continue to come out until no more. But that's how I clean my traditional knives. Yeah, it's blipping. There's not much I can do. I got to figure out what's going on with the phone. Sometimes it's working perfectly fine. Other times, I want to toss it out a window. I could also possibly be a defective phone. I had considered that. I might be calling my provider and go, hey, my phone's being an asshole. Give me a new one. Let's see here. Okay. So yeah, this will continue leaking oil until that's all gone. See how that acts? Really nice snap. Even better than before I applied the oil. It's not hitting the spring. That looks good. And at this point also, I'll check the edge. And sometimes on case knives especially, I don't know why they do it, but they'll leave a burr on the edge. So even on a brand new knife, one of the first things you end up doing with a case knife is removing the burr to sharpen it, by honing it. Doesn't take much. Like I'll either run it over a very fine stone, just lightly run it over a very fine stone, and then I'll take it to something like a leather strop. Sometimes it might just need a leather strop, and once that burr comes off, these things are generally razor sharp. Like this one's actually pretty good. That one's pretty sharp out of the box. Where's my piece of paper here? Oh, not the sharpest. It's also kind of a fucked up piece of paper. Give me a full piece of paper. There we go. See how that is. There we go. Yeah, pretty sharp out of the box. I like using magazine paper to test my edges, because people ask, like, magazine paper is like so easy to cut. Why would you? That's not really a test. And personally, I think it's a great test for a knife edge. To judge how sharp some knives are, because it tears so easily. If your knife is dull, even on a single tiny spot on the edge, if there's one imperfect spot on the edge, magazine paper will immediately tear. And it can be kind of confusing, because sometimes even it might not even be the knife. It might just be how I cut through the paper. If I don't do it right, like if I don't hold my angle right, and I'm like too turned one way or turned another way, the paper will tear. So I have to be conscious of how I hold the knife when I'm cutting through the paper, because any imperfection on that edge, and you'll be able to tell on this paper. So that's why I like using magazine paper, is because it's so easy to tear it up. A nice, keen, sharp edge will slice through it without any problem. The paper will look like it has a cleanly cut edge on it. Duller blades will, sometimes you can cut through the paper fine, but you'll notice that the edge of the magazine where you cut it isn't as sharp looking, and you'll notice little tears in the paper, or it'll just tear the paper completely. But that's why I like using magazine paper. It's not about how strong the edge is when I'm testing that. It's just to see how sharp and well done the edge is, because that's how I usually test a knife once it comes. Like, I'll get a new knife, and if you guys have watched any of my videos, I'll get a new knife, and right out of the box, before I do anything with it, like before I don't hone it, I don't sharpen it or whatever, I want to see how well they do the edge from the manufacturer, and I'll test it with magazine paper. And some of the nicest blades when it comes to edges from the manufacturer have been SRM. Make some, I don't know who's doing the sharpening for SRM knives, but they're freaking fantastic. I mean, they got a mirror edge to them, and they are slicey as hell. And Spyderco knives. Spyderco's have some insane factory edges on them. That came out nice. You can see the oil in the bone because the green is getting a little darker again, and probably from the oil that I added is seeping into the bone as well. But the color, the green color, came back really nicely. Even on the other side there. Nice dark ridges. This came out awesome. This is what I wanted to see. This is what I was hoping for. Nice dark ridges. Still got a good amount of green on there. I might touch this up. Now, these ridges aren't very high, so I might not be able to do much on that. This is where the texture starts to flatten out, so that's why you notice the burn kind of peters out at that point. Same there. So there might not be a whole lot I can do there. There was a lot more texture on this side. So that came out really, really nice. You can see where might touch it up here a little bit later on, but I don't think it really needs it. I think it'd be fine. Almost like a weird heartbeat thing. That came out really nicely. Maybe it is a little darker on this side. It's hard to tell because the green got dark here. And again, this isn't very deep jigging. It smooths out pretty quick towards the end. But that came out nice. And I didn't want to lose the color of the green. So that's fantastic. I can't wait for that axe handle to come in. And I'm going to do that axe handle. That'll definitely be next week. I don't know if there's any others that I planned on doing. Right now it's just the bright green ones. Depends on what they come out with. Where's my Barlow? Do a little comparison there. So there we go. Nicely polished, nicely cleaned, and ready to go in the pocket. So even with a little hitch with the cooking torch, thankfully was able to finish that up. Thankfully was still able to use the cooking torch, kind of. That had me worried. So we'll put those to the side. These were the new ones I got this week. Obviously won't be burning those. Debating whether I want to burn this one, but I kind of like the way it looks without it. I mean, I like the way it looked when I toasted that sod buster. Where's that sod buster that I had? Because I toasted a tequila sod buster junior. That's not it. If I can, there it is. Kind of lightly toasted. Didn't go very dark on this one, but you can see the difference where the edges on the Sodbuster Junior on top have a nice dark like edge to them. And it lightened the orange up a little bit as well. So I might do another one of these if I can get my hand on another one. I just like the way it looks. But the greens are definitely my favorite. But writing new songs for my channel. So that turned out pretty well. I'm excited. Can't wait for the next one. So any questions on how that was done and how how things came across, you can always rewind as well. Came out absolutely awesome to me. Love that. I can't wait to do another one. I'm really liking this thing too. The mahogany bone looks exquisite. This is what I call like a really classy looking knife. Some of these knives kind of have kind of look like something like somebody sophisticated would be carrying, somebody like in a suit with some bit of sophistication. I don't know. That's just what it seems like. Sometimes the look on these knives just have a really like classy, sophisticated look to them. God dang it, phone. And this is one of those knives that I really like. The mahogany bone. There we are. The mahogany bone. How would that look if I polished that up? Where's my sunshine cloth? There we are. I don't know if we can get a little bit more shine on this one. Clean that up a little bit. But mahogany and the green gator jigs and the tequila sunrise have quickly become some favorite colors of mine. And all those colors were brand new for this year. And still get kind of hard to find because they tend to go pretty quick. Like a lot of sellers don't hang on to them for very long. Oh, that does put a pretty nice shine on the mahogany. Love that look. All the wood in your house is mahogany? Well, damn. I would think that's pretty pricey. And nice shine on that. A bit of milk popping through on the edges. Right there. Just a really nice looking bone. Loving that look. How'd that other side come out? If my phone would work. There we go. Yeah, that just looks awesome. Yeah, mahogany's not cheap. Some pretty pricey stuff. Okay, so more knives to add to the collection. Let me know what your favorite was so far that you saw today. Again, this was the QSP Ferret. Pretty neat knife. I'm really liking that copper. That just looks really cool. The mahogany mini trapper. We got actually, before I forget, the donut SMKW limited edition Victorinox. That I've never gotten. I was never big on collecting the Swiss Army knives, but damn it, SMKW. At least they're not too expensive. That's the saving grace on these. These things generally around like $25-$30, or at least for this model. I know they have much more expensive models, and they have others that are much pricier materials and stuff. But at least a lot of these are generally going to be around the $25-$30 range, which is nice. That doesn't hurt so much, unless I buy too many of them, in which case it's going to add up. But I'm glad I got the donut. That was pretty neat. The mahogany bone mini trapper, the tequila sunrise mini trapper, the Father's Day cheetah cub, which are just neat in general. But the Father's Day cheetah cub, the navy bone Rogers jig axe handle. I don't have too many blue knives. That's pretty sweet looking. It could be just because I really like axe handles, but that's pretty sweet looking. And the red badge looks pretty cool. And then the newly burned bright green gator jig, or bright green bone gator jig mini trapper. I don't have enough words. They need more descriptors on their knives. I don't think they have enough descriptors on their knives. They need bigger labels. And then this one was from a couple of weeks ago when I burned that one. So let me know what your favorite is. We're just about approaching 5:30. Normally I end this around 6 o'clock. But surprisingly finished that green bone a lot quicker than I expected to, and it came out really nice. But let me know what your favorite was, and if you have any other questions. Oh, and I forgot the pen. My Olight O-Pen 3 that came in. Not a knife, but interesting nonetheless. Really liked it. Word salad knife, yes. All of case knives tend to have a pretty descriptive name to it. I tried to do a search on the longest case knife name, and I seem to have confused AI quite a bit. But it was something like like second cut something deep canyon jig like antique bone deep canyon blah 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 Damascus Warncliffe blade. It was like a paragraph. I think they had a hard time fitting that label on the box. It was pretty crazy. But at least if you're into collecting the boxes, I can care less about them. The only reason why I still have knives in boxes is because it's just easier to keep them in storage that way, as opposed to just like jumbling about. And I don't have enough space to put a display for everything that I have. I'm still looking for displays that don't cost an arm and a leg. And so until I get a way to display a lot of my knives, a lot of them tend to sit in a box. Or if they're not in a box, I've actually put them in hard cases. A lot of my modern knives are in hard cases because they're easier to sort that way. That, and I got tired of seeing a whole bunch of like cardboard boxes sitting everywhere. But case knives come in a small enough box that's I just leave them in there to store them. And hopefully I'll get some way to display them soon that I can start getting rid of some boxes. I know a lot of people keep the boxes because a lot of people like to resell their knives, and I'm not in the business of reselling my knives. I collect for the sake of collecting. I enjoy my collection. I don't collect for monetary reasons. So I don't care about keeping the boxes. Whereas other people like freak out. I could be either way. I've got a lot of them I still keep boxes for, but only because they might be special in some way. No, did we ever get I never get around to showing you anything fixed bladed because you were still looking for a knife. A good fixed blade knife, if you decided to go with something fixed blade that was decent working, if size isn't an issue, a great one is the Buck 110 or 112 if you want something smaller. Oh no, that's not a fixed blade. Those are folders. What am I saying? Fixed blade knife, fixed blade knife, fixed blade knife. I have a Buck fixed blade. Duh. What do you think of that? Problem is I don't know where I put that fixed blade. I used to have it out, but I have since put it away. It's essentially okay. Well, I'll just grab this. It's essentially a Buck 110, but it's not a folder. So it looks kind of like It's size-wise, it's about this size. This is a buck 110 folder. They have a fixed blade which has a much more rounder kind of robust handle. But the blade size and shape is almost exactly the same. If I could remember where I stuck that thing. I have knives everywhere. When you have an excess of over 400 knives, your brain starts to forget where certain things are. And I have forgotten where I put that one. It's around here somewhere. Oh, you know what? I think I put it in a box back there. Okay, well, I'm not going to grab that. The 119. Thank you, Patrick. 119. It's essentially the same size as this, except it's got a bit of a round. It kind of looks kind of like. Now, this is an old knife. I don't know if you can get these anymore. The reason why I have this in my collection is this is the very first knife I think I purchased. This is, in other words, it's one of the oldest knives in my collection. It's just made by Sharp. It's some cheap Taiwan thing. I believe when I got this, it probably cost me like 10 to 15 bucks. But it's old as hell. I don't even know how long I don't even know how I kept hold of this thing. Somehow it's managed to stick with me since I was a kid. And I know for years it's been like put somewhere else. And then just magically reappeared somewhere. But it's essentially looks similar to this, where you've got a bit of a rounder handle, a little bit of a finger guard. But otherwise, the Buck 119 is pretty close. I just don't have it near me at the moment. There's another one. It depends. Like also size. If you want something bigger, if you want something smaller. Going back to actually, I didn't think about that. Going back to folding knives, the Buck 110 is actually a great choice. A little on the pricier side for what you get, but they're just kind of like a timeless classic with the brass bolsters. You've got ebony inserts for the handle. I added this thumb stud. This was a thumb stud that I got off Amazon for pretty cheap. Normally it just has the nail nick to open it. Right there is how you normally open it. I just bought this and added to it. It screws on, and that allows me to open the knife one-handed. It is a lockback, so there's the locking mechanism. You're gonna have to use two hands to close it. And you should be careful with this when closing it, because I don't know about anybody else, but the buck knives that I got are sharp as all get out. Like these things came out of the box razor sharp and ready to freaking cut. And I remember cleaning this when the first time I got it, and I just managed to keep myself from cutting or slicing a finger open, because what ended up happening is well, let's open this up again. I was essentially polishing the blade here, just wiping off like some oil that I put on it, and wasn't paying attention. And thankfully, I kind of doubled up on the cloth, and I felt it bite into the cloth, and it sliced almost clean. Actually, right there, it already started cutting. It almost sliced clean through. My finger was almost at that edge. Wouldn't be the first time something like that happened, but these things are razor sharp out of the box. Give you a little idea. Oop, hold on. I didn't catch. It's just really easy to cut through it. That didn't take much. I mean, just literally running the blade. I'm not really pressing into it, and it's already cutting through. But these things are razor sharp out of the box. But these are kind of like timeless classics, buck knives. They're made out of 420 HC steel, so not the most premium of steels, but Buck has their own. They have their own proprietary way of treating the steel, which makes their 420 HC steel tend to be a lot better than your typical 420 HC. And yeah, you can buy them used. Oh yeah, exactly. You can buy them used, and Buck will fix them. They call it the spa treatment. Exactly, Patrick. And they basically just clean, resharpen, make them good as new. So if you find an old buck, that might be worth sending out to them and having the spot treatment done. Normally they come with a leather sheath. I think they ran out of leather sheaths because mine came with a nylon, which is fine. But typically they come with a leather sheath. But great knives. I think they're fantastic knives. They've been around for a very long time. I believe they were the ones that essentially invented the lockback. But yeah, great knives. If you want something smaller, the Buck 112, essentially the same exact knife, just with a smaller blade and smaller overall. This one I like to carry now and then because the Buck's a little on the bigger side for me carrying. This is the 112, so a little smaller. This one's special though, because this isn't a typical 112. This is an automatic 112. So, depending on where you are, you might carrying this might not be an option. In fact, for me to carry this, I have to have a concealed carry license, which I do. But there we go. So this one's an automatic. Press the button. It's still a lockback, so I still have to close it with two hands. But it is an automatic knife. Otherwise, same thing as the 110, just smaller profile. Hefty knives, so they are pretty weighty. They're a solid build. So this is not something that I'd probably just stick in a pocket. I'd probably carry it in the sheath. Same with the 110. But still, solidly built knives. You pick them on whatnot for like 25 years. Yeah, you can get these pretty, or not, maybe not this one. The automatics are a little bit more expensive. I believe this is like 120 or something like that. The Bucks can be pretty expensive, brand new. Well, relatively speaking, around or close to around like $80, I think. I can't remember on the 110, but getting them used, you can save quite a bit of money, as long as it functions and well enough. And then getting the spot treatment done. So, to get it back up to practically brand new. You have a concealed carry because, yeah, I have a concealed carry. I carry a firearm as well. Just grab the blade. I've done that. That makes me nervous, though. I don't know. Maybe because I don't do it all the time. Simply because these things weigh a ton. I mean, you got to admit they're pretty heavy knives. I just thought the thumb stud was pretty neat. So that's why I did that. It's not the quickest opening. I've seen people do that little snap open. I did that like twice, and one time a fucker flew out of my hands, and I could have lost a foot. So I don't bother. But to each their own. If you like doing that, awesome. I like to keep my toes. The automatic, I just thought the automatic was neat, and decided to pick that one up. And it's funny, in my state you can carry these, provided they're a certain size, and you have to have a concealed carry license to carry this. A lot of states you can't carry an automatic still, and this thing has some kick to it. When that blade pops out, if you don't have a good grip on that knife, this thing can flip over. But it was just a neat thing. Since I already had the 110, I was going to get the 112, and I saw that, and I was like, oh, I would like the automatic. You need weapons on the farm. So many oh, really? Oh, horse thieves. Really? I didn't think about horse thieves. I was thinking more like coyotes and things like that. I was more worried about like coyotes and other predatory animals. I didn't really think about horse thieves. I didn't think horse thieves was still a thing. Apparently it is. What do I know? I'm a suburbanite. I know nothing about horse ranching or anything like that. But yeah, those are two other suggestions. I think they're pretty good suggestions. Obviously, there's still so many other suggest that I mean, I can go on for days suggesting good, strong ranch knives, but those are the ones that are just kind of like off the top of my head, and what I currently have around with me are, these knives here. I mean, tried and true would be something like a full size trapper. This is a full size trapper, bigger than the minis. I know a lot of people on farms that like to carry these. I mean, they're not flippy knives, they're not quick knives, but they're just hard working knives. Again, and the benefit to having something like a trapper, or even like one of those sod bellies that I showed earlier, is you have, like in this case with a trapper, you have two blades. And if you're out, doing work and you're using your knife and this is starting to dull and isn't cutting as well as it should be, you can easily switch to the secondary and you can just keep working. And then you can worry about sharpening the edges once you get back home, done with your work. And especially with something like the sow belly that has like three blades to it, you've got three blades that can continue to do work if one starts to get dull. But a lot of people I know that work on farms, work on ranches, love carrying traditional knives. Case knives can be pretty pricey depending on how you go because of the bone and all that other fun stuff. But there are other knives that I would even suggest that are actually on the rather inexpensive side, but still have like full lifetime warranties. Like if you need something US made or you want something US made, Case, good one to go. Buck, great one to go. Spyderco, depends on the model. You can get US made Spyderco, but the Japanese and the Taiwan Spydercos are freaking amazing as well. Can't go wrong with those. If you don't mind where it comes from, one that I would suggest if you want to get started on a cheap traditional knife would be Rough Rider. Now, Rough Rider are Chinese made. Now, this one's just an example. This is a trapper again, and these are synthetic scales that are supposed to look like antler. I don't think they don't look anywhere close to antler, but I mean they work for what they are. This one's a trapper, full size trapper, and a lot of Rough Riders can be had for around $20-25, and you still get a full lifetime warranty. And they function just the same. They might not have the same workmanship as a lot of the other US made knives, but at the same time you're only paying $20-25 for them. And if something were to happen on the ranch where this ended up getting tossed around or run over or just plain lost, I would cry a lot less if it was something like a Rough Rider, as opposed to like, if I dropped my automatic 112 or dropped and lost, say, an axe handle, which is significantly, I think around $70-80 for an axe handle, compared to a $20 or $25 Rough Rider. That might be easier to stomach when dealing with stuff on the ranch. Not that you can't use these on the ranch. I know a lot of people that use case knives all the time. But if you're looking for a lesser expensive option, Rough Rider is kind of just easy to suggest because of the warranty. They're really decently made, and they're inexpensive. And it's really easy to get into, start wanting to collect these things, because there's so many variations, kind of like how cases, there's so many variations of Rough Rider around. The Victorinox is the scale made by Victorinox or third party. If you're talking about this is an SMKW exclusive, the donut. Kind of like the PB&J version is an exclusive to SMKW. This is another exclusive. SMKW has a lot of exclusives with Victorinox. A lot of different patterns. Like a crazy amount of patterns. And there goes my camera. this is just another one of them that I got talked into buying. Thank you, Chicken Fry. But pretty inexpensive. I believe this was like $25 when I got it, and then shipping and handling, whatever. So probably about $30 for that one. Vintage Japanese Spydercos are surprisingly cheap and really good. Japanese made Spydercos are fantastic. Same with the Taiwanese. Those are really well made. Yeah, vintage Japanese knives in general pretty. I think it depends kind of on the knife. Usually asking price on U.S. knives tend to be quite a bit more than the Japanese counterparts. But yeah, I can see that. But it kind of depends, really. But yeah, and there's a lot of others. Like SMKW has so many exclusive patterns with Victorinox. It blows my mind. And I think Chicken Fried mentioned that they were coming out with even more, like a TMNT version. And I mean, I've seen Pirates. I've seen. I mean, I have a couple PB&Js. And just a whole bunch of different colors and varieties. I've got another Victorinox, which is just a simple red one coming my way. Actually, I think it's like a clear or see-through red that I just happened upon on Whatnot. I think Chasing Blades had it, and it was $25. I was like, well, we'll take another one. I never went out to start collecting Victorinox, but apparently I'm starting to acquire more Victorinox because they're just so inexpensive. But they're nice. I mean, these things are surprisingly handy. The knives are actually pretty decent. They're not the toughest things in the world, or I should say, they might not hold their edge as long as some other knives, but they're really easy to sharpen. And not only are they really easy to sharpen, but they can take a surprisingly sharp edge on them, like a really keen edge on these blades. And they've been pretty sharp out of the box. I believe this one was pretty damn good out of the box. I don't think I cut anything with this yet, though. I know when I got the PB&Js, I tested them out of the box, and they were razor sharp. I don't doubt this will be different. And then you have the added benefit of all the other tools, like the Phillips screwdriver, the flathead screwdrivers, the bottle openers, and I'm also using the spine. There we go. Like really, really sharp. Again, I like using the paper because you can feel when I'm cutting through this, I can feel how sharp the edge is just by how it's going through the paper. And this is almost swimming through the paper like it wasn't there. And then like taking a close look at the edge, it's nice and clean. No little tears along that edge, or like when I say tears, I'm usually thinking of like, it's in this case with this blade, it was a nice, clean, sharp edge on the paper. On a duller blade, it might still cut through well enough, but a lot of times you'll end up with a fuzzy edge where it's tearing through a lot of the fibers. Even on thin magazine paper, it's tearing through a lot of the fibers and not cutting through those fibers. Another reason why I like using magazine paper to test edges when I first get a knife. Oh, they make some great knives. Victorinox makes some awesome knives. I just never was really I just never thought of really collecting them. I was more into like the single bladed Folgers or the traditional patterns. And then on a whim, because it was on sale, I picked up the PB&Js, and then I realized kind of like at that point how neat they really were. And although, I mean, I'm probably still not really out to collect a lot of Victorinox, if one does catch my eye at this point, I probably wouldn't hesitate to nab one, especially when they're that inexpensive. Like these I think these are called Tinkers. This particular one is a Tinker, I think. And they have different names for different types, depending. Like, I think what
like the small one. I have a small one called I think it's called an SD Classic. And this one just simply has one blade and one file to it. This is another PB&J. You can see the size difference on them. And this one has the single blade. Yeah, single blade, has a file and screwdriver. This one also has something the bigger one doesn't, which is a pair of scissors. Although I never understood how good these scissors could be. I haven't really tried them. I always thought they were kind of weird. But it's got a pair of scissors, and you still have your toothpick and tweezers as well. But in a much smaller, much tinier package. But still, razor sharp knife. Like, oh my God, sharp knife. Even though this thing is nice and tiny, that thing's going to slice a finger if you're not careful. Almost did. But not a bad thing to just keep in like your fifth pocket or even attached to your key ring. You always got something handy, a screwdriver at the very least, and a knife to deal with, small tasks. Excuse me. But anyway, we're just about out of time. So I think this will be a good spot to end it here. Thank you guys again so much for joining me. Hope you guys had fun watching. If you liked what you saw, please drop a like down below. And if you haven't yet, hit subscribe and then hit that notification bell so that way you know when I drop a new video. Let me know in the comments, did you have any favorites that you saw today? Any questions regarding toasting a knife? I would be happy to answer and help you out. I know a few people I've talked to on Whatnot. I don't know if they're watching or just being quiet. A lot of people wanted to see me toast that knife and were asking, like, is it a difficult thing to do and stuff? Not really. Toasting a knife is preparation, having a good workspace to do it in. Like, I have that tin prepared and stuff, and patience are the biggest thing, because it's not something you want to rush, because rushing it could cause, you could crack the bone, burn it too dark, things like that. So it takes a lot of patience. It's toast a little bit, wait as it cools off, do a little bit more. Ron Crow's still on for like 5 minutes. Oh, he's still on for like 5 minutes. I don't know. Let's see. I know we hit Ron Crow. I thought there was another one. I was looking at somebody earlier. What knives? Hey, Knives for Life. What knives? I was carrying. You're going to hit me up again. I can't remember what I was carrying traditionally. Because I always carry a traditional knife and I always carry a modern knife. I just had these out for display purposes. These were all the new knives I got this last week. What's on the table there. But what I was carrying in my pocket today was the Ontario Rat 1.5 in Magna Cut. That was in my pocket today. I was carrying my Barlow today. The Green Gator Jig Barlow that I toasted a couple weeks ago. That was in my pocket. So that's what I had in my pocket today, was the Ontario Rat 1.5 in Magna Cut and this Barlow. Let me know what you had in your pocket. Hey, Mike Drop, how you doing? Hey, no worries. I'm just about to end it because it's just about 6 o'clock and I got to get dinner ready. I got to do some cooking. I got to do some cleaning. I got to do some cleanup here. And so I was going to take a look to see. I think it was Terry mentioned that Ron Crow is still streaming, but he's only streaming for like another 5 minutes. I'm going to take a quick look to see who else is up, because I could have sworn somebody else was streaming as well, but I'm not quite sure. Was it Loot 10 Tex? That might have been it. Let's go ahead and yeah. Oh no, I asked that first thing. Let me know what you're carrying in your pocket today. Put it in chat. Put it in the comments below. We are going to, or I'm going to see if I can raid Loot 10 Tex. I think we've done that before. So give me a moment while I get this ready. But yeah, let me know what you're carrying today. What was in your pocket? What's in your everyday carry? I carry the Magnicut Ontario Rat, the case Barlow that you see there. Oh, and the red Olight O-Pen 3 was also in my pocket. I should have probably mentioned that too. But those were my carries for today. Actually, for the last couple days, those were my carries. You have a CRKT. Oh, I've got a spew also. And the PM2. Chicken Fried Steak was talking about he carried his PM3. I was showing my PM3 earlier. Awesome knife. Spyderco's. CRKT spew is kind of cool too. Neat little knife. And I love the shape of that blade. Let's see here. But a nice little fixie that fits well in the belt. And where did I have? I actually have it right there. It is. I had it nearby. So I was able to pull that out of my hat really quick. Let me see if I can see Loot 10 techs. Because sometimes they're open for raids and sometimes they're not. I thought we've raided Loot 10 techs before. So I'm going to see if I can raid him. Oh, no, he's not. Okay. Oh, no. Yeah, he's not open to raids. I think that was somebody that we needed to try to raid tonight. Oh, mic drop. No, I'm going to be teaming up with Apex. We're going to be doing some co-op. I'm going to be doing some co-op with Apex later tonight. The guy gave it to you because it was on. Wait, hold on. What in the rain pen number 11? I'm not familiar with that one. Gave it to you because it was unsafe. I've never even heard of that. That one's new to me. All right. Tell you what, because I can't. I'll have to talk to Loot 10, see if he can open himself to raiding. Otherwise, if Crow is still running, we'll go ahead and raid him. Thank you guys. Oh, it's a knife? Okay, I'm going to take a look at that in a little bit. But I got to get dinner ready. But thank you guys so much again for joining me. Hope you guys liked. We're going to go raid Ron Crow. Thanks again so much for all your support. You guys in chat have been absolutely amazing. You guys just lurking about awesome as always. Hope to see you guys in the next video. It's a dang knife. Why do they call it a pen? I will take a look. But in the meantime, we are going to go raid. So thanks again. See you in the next video. And bye.